the fucking podcast.
I don't even really like bananas that much. I'm just kind of, I'm hungry.
You're just trying to fucking piss me off.
I need,
Our first.
He's succeeding.
no, quick life hacks. They said if you eat banana, it totally wakes you up for at least 10 minutes.
Kurt Warner's top 5 quarterbacks. Look at that. Matt Ryan, Andrew Luck, Alex Smith, Nick Foles, and Kirk Cousins. That's craziness.
Is this a fantasy show or real life? That's what I can't understand sometimes.
Look at the fans, top 5. A bunch of Philly people trolling Nick Foles. Yeah, he's the top quarterback. Get out of here. Nick Foles is awful.
I would have won if I picked that motherfucker.
I'll tell you what. Here's a bold prediction. He won't finish the season.
All right. Wait, let me start the show.
I don't know how bold that is.
Shut the fuck up. Let me start the show.
All right.
Calm down, bro.
Oh my god. Welcome to the Average Joe Fantasy Football Podcast with your host, Joe Nars, your asshole host, Keith DeAngelis,
Knew he was going there.
and John Miller, the one who is basically caught in the middle, which is sort of odd because he's half black.
That's
Yes. He's got middle kid syndrome, definitely.
that's actually appropriate.
Middle kids, middle. All right, so welcome to Fantasy Football with
The millennial mediator. That's me.
Yeah, man. Oh shit, I gotta close this door. So why don't one of you sort of inform
Take the lead.
our 0-person viewing audience
Okay.
what it is that we're doing here?
It always starts at 0, though. You can't have a podcast start at like 1,000. That's just
Oh
ridiculous.
yeah. Yeah.
Unless you're like famous already, and then at that
Yeah.
point, why are you doing a fucking podcast?
Well,
Right.
we're actually average Joes.
I don't know the rules of podcasts. Can I curse?
Yes, you can.
Yes.
Okay.
You can
Sweet,
curse.
because I don't have a curse filter. I say fuck a lot.
We know.
And we don't have a
Well,
button either. So
the non-viewers out there don't know. The 0 people
Zero. No one
out there
knows.
don't know.
This is them knowing that you don't curse is literally like a tree in the woods falling when no one's around.
But is it though?
All right, so go shut your door. I'll get us introed into this. We're gonna get into waiver wire for week 4. We recapped games and all that kind of stuff before, so now we're gonna get into waiver wire. Just people that you should have on your radar, people you might want to pick up. Just a disclaimer. This fantasy advice is not for those who are in PPR leagues or 8 to 10 team leagues. If you're in an 8-team league or a 10-team league,
Yeah, buns.
you're buns. Yeah, you have the training wheels on still. Like, take them off and get with a real fantasy league, 12 teams.
I'm trying to get these guys to go to 14, and they won't. I'm just saying. 14 is.
14 teams is a little bit tough. If you have I would do a 14-team league if I had a shallow bench. That would actually be.
Hashtag 14 is the new 12.
Yeah, you just can't do 14 teams and have like a 9-player bench. That's just stupid. Like,
yeah,
you're
that's
picking up
actually a
the
good
fuzzy
idea. If we were to do a 14-team league, we would probably have to keep the
reserves
benches.
down.
The benches at what, like 4 or 5, maybe?
Probably.
No, 17 deep. Everyone's gone. There's no such thing as an ad. We don't even have a waiver show because everyone's gone.
Yeah, it's like
That's this-
we're just not. We'll see you guys on Thursday for our for our weekly update. You know,
Weekly
review.
our weekly ad drop day. No, but seriously though, if you're in a 10-team league or 18 league, just get rid of it. And
Yeah,
No,
do
don't
yourself
get rid
a
of it.
favor.
Find fucking 4 more people. Come on, it's
Just
not that
find-
hard.
Yeah, if you've got 8, find 4. If you've got 10, find 2. The sweet spot is 12.
it's always 12.
There's a good amount of people that are always on the waiver wire. There's a perfect amount of skill for the people that are actually paying attention to sort of succeed and excel and take the money of the bums who don't really pay attention. And that's what
Well,
we're
and
here for.
that's the benefit of a 12-team league too, because if you have 10 people standard, you can put 2 rookies in there and add some dead money to the pool, and then go from there, and it's all good.
And speaking of the money is important. Look, if you're not playing fantasy football for money, then you're not playing fantasy football. It's exactly like poker. If there's no vested interest in playing, you play with a bunch of bums. I I work with this chick. She's got She's got 3 fantasy football teams, and one of them is like $5. 4 people didn't set their lineups last week, so Jamal Charles was in, Arian Foster was in, Carson Palmer was in.
My wife actually played against a person who left Arian Foster in.
Exactly, and
that's the kind of stuff that happens.
She's in a $20 league. It's $20.
Why do that to yourself? We're
You
not.
gotta win that money, son.
Right. I think it's also.
Yeah, go ahead.
Good. I was gonna say it's also important to note that it also keeps people engaged when their teams aren't winning. Nothing worse than being in a fantasy league where people just stop giving a shit halfway through the season. So set some incentives and stuff like that for anybody to get money. Like weekly winners get money. Do the fantastic night football rule thing, which we've talked about before. Make sure that everyone's going to be.
Before because this is the first episode, but
whatever.
We'll get into
that. So that's coming up. That's what we call it in the industry a tease.
Also, before I lose this train of thought, and I have to say this because we're getting into it. This is not that show where they give you unrealistic people that are on the fucking waiver wire. We're going to be looking at like leagues that we're in and people that can actually be picked up because you're not picking up. How do you say? Yeah, I mean the bottom line is they tell you people to pick up, and there's no chance that they're on the waiver wire in most leagues. I'm sorry. If you're in any league that's decent and I guess they're taking the average of all these leagues, but like Joe said, they're probably teams that are playing for nothing, and I'm sorry, that's just bullshit.
And they're also going about 8 to 10 team leagues and things like that probably aren't.
People are on the pulse in any true league, and the bottom line is you're not picking up a Travis Kelce or whatever the hell, however you pronounce that guy's name. You're not getting him. Yeah, you're not getting him. You have a better chance of getting Kelsey Grammer, and he might score more points than Shady fucking McCoy, so that might be a good thing. I don't know.
Here we go.
Knew it was coming.
Shady McCoy reference. Drink.
I'm fucking drinking Niles with my first pick next week.
Next week? Yeah, so I just did something really stupid, but I am back. Can you guys see me in here?
I saw like double of you for a second, and now I see 2 of you again. I don't know what's going on, but like there's...
All right.
Yeah,
so let's get into the waiver wire now that we made that disclaimer about what type of league you should be in and all that. I guess we can just kind of go around position by position, and everybody can just kind of weigh in with their people that they're looking at. And obviously, we might as well start with the quarterback position. Obviously, we're not going to tell you to pick up Kirk Cousins because he should have been picked up, honestly, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, at least last week. If he wasn't picked up, then I'm not exactly sure what sort of league you're in.
Right.
There's a good chance that the person fell asleep, like me. But obviously, it is what it is.
So I'll start with a guy that I'm looking at to pick up, and it's pretty simple for me. Like I think you have to go after a guy like Drew Stanton. I know he's on a bye, and people are going to say, well, I can't play him this week, this, that, and the other. Well, Carson Palmer's got like a nerve injury, and nerve injuries aren't something that you just kind of come back from that quickly. He's a guy I would probably look at. If you're looking for somebody to stash down the road, I mean, have you seen Geno Smith play last night? Like Michael Vick might be a viable option to pick up if you have a quarterback that you are good with. If you are the RG3 owner as your number 2 quarterback and you want to drop somebody and stash somebody, if Geno keeps up with his antics, I'm pretty sure Mike Vick's going to be in there sooner than later.
I would say this about. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But
I mean, I said they're already talking about giving Chris Ivory more carries and stuff like that. So
Chris Ivory's obviously a beast. Anytime I play against him, he's a genius. What I was going to say was, for the Drew Stanton thing, I totally agree with you, but I would say, really realistically, if you want to get him this week, but you probably could wait one more week. I doubt anyone's rushing to the waiver wire to pick up Drew Stanton on a bye week. Is all I'm saying.
Oh, you mean on the bye?
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. You'd be wrong about that because if I'm a guy who has a quarterback that's on the bye the following week, I want him this week instead of the next week, so I don't have to waste that waiver claim the following week.
And it's
about getting ahead of the curve in fantasy football, and it's about one of the things that we have always been consistent with, just in our conversations, is the guys we're picking up on waivers, all the pundits have them on the front page of their fantasy league the following week. like they're already on the roster because the research has been done. We're looking ahead and all the other kind of stuff, and that's
got
what
what
we're
you're
here to try
saying.
to
You want to
provide.
be the guy picking up the waiver wire picks the week before everyone on ESPN and
Yeah.
CBS Sports
Because-
Line are talking about them.
Because guess what? There's 11 other assholes that are thinking the same thing, and you.
Unless you're in a shit league, then there's only 7 or 9. But I agree with you.
Unless your name is Travis Kelsey, in which they're still talking about him being a waiver wire head.
Right.
If your league has 11 or 12 tight ends on their teams and Travis Kelsey isn't one of them by week 4,
Right.
what the fuck are they doing? How is that even possible?
Right, and what are you watching actually? I mean, Anthony Fasano? We've seen his act before. I mean, he's just not great. Another quarterback, obviously, I was thinking of is Teddy Bridgewater maybe. I don't know.
I'm going Blake Bortles on that ass. I'm not even joking. I honestly believe.
So you guys can go ahead and jump into the Blake Bortles thing. I mean, I know Joe loves Blake Bortles, and you guys like Blake Bortles. My only thing with Blake Bortles is, like, he does have some weapons on that team. He has a good, core receivers, but I mean, is the defense getting any better? Can they still run the ball?
Look, you don't want the defense to be better when you've got a
Right.
fantasy guy.
Completely agree. Rather have my team come from behind.
Tomlinson
But
made his career
okay, but,
off of
which
the
is
fact
good.
that his teams were like 3-13 every year.
Right.
Still getting
But-
210 all-purpose yards and 3 touchdowns.
I just think NFL defenses will take a one-dimensional team with a rookie quarterback and turn them upside down. That's my only detraction from a guy like Blake Bortles. And we'll see what happens when they go out to San Diego this weekend, but that's my only thing. They have no running game at all, and they can definitely turn him over. So, I mean, he might get you, 10, 15 fantasy points by the time it's all said and done, maybe 18. But I'd much rather go with a guy like Teddy Bridgewater who can do it with his legs and maybe get a pass down to a better receiving core, in my opinion, right now. And then, or a guy like Drew Stanton if Carson Palmer can't come back. I mean, those are more viable options as far as I'm concerned right now. And if you have to pick up Blake Bortles, and he's probably not going to help you win anything. Maybe if you're the Tom Brady owner, maybe you take a flyer on him because Brady's sticking up the joint right now.
At this point, I think Bortles has more points than Tom Brady does, which is kind of sad considering Bortles only plays half the game. I don't know have the actual stats here, and we don't have our stat man yet. But when we do get him, we'll be able to boom, pop into this real quick.
Well, so that's what I'm looking at. But do you guys have any other quarterbacks? I mean, you guys like Bortles, but is there anyone else that you think is available?
I just think his name is so bad that at first I hated it, and now it's like I gotta go with it. It's borderline criminal. You know what I mean? Had to drop it. I'm sorry.
So wait, I've just dropped out again. What are you thinking about Teddy Bridgewater?
I'm thinking Teddy Bridgewater is actually going to be more viable than Blake Bortles, and the only reason I'm saying that is because I think he can do it with his legs, and I think Norv Turner's a hell of a lot more creative than whoever the offensive coordinator is in Jacksonville.
Yeah,
Jacksonville's going to.
I guess the problem with Norv Turner is with me right now is that it doesn't seem like the guy who is their most dangerous weapon, even before
ADP.
Purple Jesus, who is beating his children for their sins, instead of Black Jesus over there, who died for our sins. CPAT was their number one option, and he has not been getting the ball nearly enough as his talent warrants, and I'm just waiting for that to happen. 3 weeks in, it really hasn't the way anybody is satisfied about.
Well, let's just put that to a football perspective, and you're going to hear this a lot from me. It's like people are going to talk about fantasy, but I'm going to talk about it from a pure football perspective. There's 2 reasons probably why Patterson wasn't getting the ball like he should. There was no Adrian Peterson there. I mean, he was there week 1, and you saw what happened. So there's a threat of a running game, so people had to kind of be honest. But in weeks 2 and 3, there's no threat of a running game, and you have a statue back there, a quarterback. You can totally roll coverage to his side, put somebody on Greg Jennings because he's not going to beat you deep anymore. And then you're putting yourself in a predictable passing situation. Now,
So
Teddy
wait,
Bridgewater.
but here's my whole point with CPAT. Where exactly does all of that you just said?
Right.
Where does that end as talent is concerned? When you think about the most talented players that have played in this game and the most
Mm-hmm.
successful cats that have played fantasy football, their
Mm-hmm.
talent showed up and
Right.
made them who they were. And I'm still waiting for CPAT to do that on a consistent basis.
Well, let's go through the guys that you're actually talking about. Like, who are you talking about in particular?
I don't know, Calvin.
Okay.
Let's talk about Brandon Marshall for all those years
In Denver.
in Denver.
Denver also had a running game, and they also had Eddie Royal, who was there, who took some of that away.
Feed the people who need the ball.
Even Brandon Marshall right now has a complimentary receiver.
But here's the other thing. It doesn't matter who's throwing to Brandon Marshall. I could be throwing to Brandon Marshall. Keith could be throwing to Brandon Marshall.
I actually have thrown to Brandon Marshall.
Shut up. Brandon Marshall is going to catch that ball. You give it to Steve Smith. Steve Smith had terrible quarterbacks forever, and
Right.
all he did was grab D-backs by the face, smash him into the ground,
Right.
and
I guess
teabag him as he's fucking dragging him into the fucking end zone.
I guess what I'm looking at,
All
the way I'm looking at it is if you're comparing guys who are actually receivers and who were receivers in college and actually were pretty experienced receivers versus Patterson, who's really raw as a receiver. We talked about his route running; it's pretty lazy and things like that. I mean, that's why he doesn't get.
Lazy. When what's his face was throwing the interceptions, he's sitting there like jogging back. He's supposed to be the fastest cat on the field. Why are
Right.
there linebackers
Right.
that are chasing down the play faster than he is?
Well, here's the other thing. This is what I would say. If you look at a guy like Bridgewater, who is going to demand someone to just kind of keep an eye on him because of his legs, I can see a lot of broken plays happening with Minnesota, and all it takes is for CPAT to, get behind the defense on one of those broken plays, and you can't tell me Bridgewater can't roll out on a broken play and get him the ball downfield on a broken play. And if he has to score on broken plays, like, you have to trust that more than him running.
They're going to score on broken plays. I'm all for it, and Teddy Bridgewater is much more dangerous as an athlete than Matt Castle has ever
Right.
been in his entire life. I mean,
Right.
he had how many rushes did Teddy Bridgewater have
This weekend?
5 or 6 for 36
5 or 6
yards?
it was in that range.
And that's sort of that might help CPAT for sure because he's going to be rushing more. The defense is sort of going to be staying up a little bit just to make sure that he doesn't break off and do something big, and it will free up CPAT a little bit. I just would like to see it more, and I would like to that not be the only option as Norv Turner's sort of.
You also have to understand too, Bridgewater. It's like I explained to you before when we had talked. Obviously on this format, when we talked about Norv Turner and about how all the transition as far as like players coming in and out of that, what he started with at the beginning of the year. From an offensive standpoint to what he has now has changed every single week.
Well, that
so
happens for everybody. That happens for all teams. That's what happens.
I don't think that dramatically though. Name another team that's happened that dramatically with this.
It is kind of dramatic. I'm not gonna lie.
Not everybody had ADP.
No, but if you lose your starting running back and your starting quarterback, like what other team in the league has done that?
Well, it's not his fault that
except for Jacksonville.
Matt Castle. Why were they starting Matt Castle in the first place?
I mean, that's not the point. Whether they start him or not, the point is the reason it's not the point is because his entire offensive scheme was built around Matt Castle as his quarterback. If it was built around Teddy Bridgewater, he would never start in Week 1. That's my point. That's why you see teams' game plan change.
On the PowerPoint slide that is. Things that we need to do as Minnesota Vikings before Week 1 starts. Matt Castle better be third or fourth on that list. It's ADP, it's CPAT, and then it's Matt Castle doing what Matt Castle can do to get those two the ball as much as humanly possible.
Yeah, and that's for him to stand back and deliver the football. my point to that is whenever you see like a backup quarterback come into a game and they have some success, it's because teams game plan against one quarterback and one style. So when that changes up, that's why you see these backup quarterbacks having success. I mean, the game plan for the defense is still the same, and on the offensive side, they just say, all right, let's just dumb it down a little bit because this guy didn't go through all the preparations. There's no way Teddy Bridgewater went through all the preparations like Matt Castle did. I'm sure he was just like, you know what, hey, you're thrust in there now, kid. Hey,
Oh, absolutely. I'm not talking about look.
So next week's going to be the big thing. They play Atlanta. It's not a strong team. They're at home. We'll see what happens. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater in limited action threw for 150 yards. Is it out of the realm to think that he can't get 300 yards passing against that Atlanta team?
Look, I want CPAT to do what I drafted him to do, and if he can't do it against Atlanta, if he looks like Vlax, you know, and it's scary.
It might be time to panic.
It's scary because when I watch those games, I see Greg Jennings playing harder than CPAT is, and that is not what I want to see out of the guy who, you know, Greg Jennings was saying in the preseason he'll be telling his children and his grandchildren about the time that he played with a person like CPAT. So,
I think the best is yet to come for him. I could see North Turner dialing up a couple of jet sweeps to where they're faking it and Bridgewater's taking it half the time and he might take it one time. Like something like that's probably going to come out of this game Sunday. Watch, it'll be a sweep of some sort where he's getting some misdirection with Teddy and the Atlanta offense is going to overcommit and it's either going to be Teddy Bridgewater or Patterson rumbling down the sideline for a touchdown.
Look, here's the bottom line about CPAT. Honestly, there's going to be definitely a year, a time, and a thing to have him, and it just might not be this year. That doesn't mean he's not going to be productive this year, but it's his second year. You're expecting a lot out of him. He's got a rookie quarterback, no running back. I mean, like John's saying, I mean, the bottom line is you got to temper your expectations for the guy. They're going to get him the ball. He's going to do decent. He's going to get like 7 touchdowns over the rest of the season. That's what he's going to do. He's not going to
7.
I mean, what do you? I mean, that's like really
wide receiver 3 production. I mean, you drafted him as a wide receiver 2.
Look.
Right.
If he this is the one thing about fantasy football. You know, if he decides to be the guy that I drafted in weeks 8 through 16, then I'm happy. Unless he shat the bed enough in weeks 1 through 8 that I had to fucking trade him or drop him or something like that. You know, there's only so long you can hold on to somebody. I mean, CPAT, I'm not getting rid of. I'm not dropping him anytime soon because I've got a pretty, you know.
Yeah, you have a boatload of receivers.
There's a lot of, you know, people who are not getting nearly as much targets as him. But you know there's nothing worse than dropping that cat that you're just like, all right, you just decided to fucking phone it in this season, and then next thing you know, the last 8 games, they're scoring 3 touchdowns and 150 yards a game.
And that's what I'm trying to tell you. That might happen.
And he's
bad. But what's a realistic floor? What's a realistic range of
them up that week? Then next thing you know, he has 168. He's the first one off the waiver wire in week 9, and then he turns some fucking shitty team in a fantasy league into a juggernaut that makes it to the finals or wins a Super Bowl because of it.
Yeah, Teddy Bridgewater is the answer. That's what you don't know. What's Teddy Bridgewater do? Does Teddy Bridgewater come out and that's what you need. It's not about Cordell. It's about Teddy. Teddy comes out and plays well, doesn't turn the ball over, you know, plays good football, then yeah, he can definitely be good. If he comes out and goes straight bum, then I mean you're gonna not get much production out of the guy. It's plain and simple. He doesn't have Peyton Manning throwing to him. He doesn't have Aaron Rodgers throwing to him. You know what I mean? Like you put that dude on the Packers, and I'm trying to get him from you. You know what I mean?
Let me ask you a question though. What do you think the realistic ceiling is for CPAT? Floor, like what's his realistic range? Like what do you expect to get out of him at week in and week out?
For the week,
like 12 fantasy points, maybe 60 yards and a touchdown.
I want
without bonus points and all that other kind of stuff, like just basic production.
You know, I expect 100 and or a touch every week. So really, I'm expecting somewhere between
way over expectations on him.
You didn't draft him in that spot. You didn't draft him in that spot. You expect 100 and a touchdown out of Des Bryant. You didn't draft him in the
Every guy
first
who I
round.
draft, especially in the top 3 or 4 rounds, I
Right.
expect 100 yards and a touch, and I think that's why I've built a lot of really good teams in the past is because I want my guys to perform, and if you don't,
Well, I know you want your guys to perform, but I'm just saying on a
it.
realistic average, I think 100 and a touch is crazy.
Crazy. And I also like to add that realistically, at this point, with the situation he's in, he's a boom bust candidate. He's going to have those crazy games. He's going to have those. Listen, this is what you can expect from him, honestly, in my opinion, and I could be completely wrong, but I rarely am. He's going to be a boom bust guy. You're going to get like 28 points out of him, in between 20 to 28 certain weeks, and you're going to get 3 to 7 out of him other weeks, and you're going to be like, I hate him.
Here's the thing, Keith. You have nothing but bust guys on your team.
Right. I know, but I know boom bust guys too.
You want him so bad,
So-
trade me him for fucking Shady McCoy right now.
At
Here we
this
go.
point-
Here we go.
At
So
this
you-
point, I like him better than Shady. I'm just saying. I shouldn't, but,
Shady is bust right now, yo.
The problem is my receivers aren't the reason why I'm losing games. I got Antonio Brown who's beasting it. I love him. Like literally about to drive to Pittsburgh and hug the guy. And then I got fucking Victor Cruz who decides to catch a touchdown after a year.
Okay,
I did the stats on that. It was like 360 some days since he's last scored a touchdown. That's ridiculous. Actual
Okay,
days.
Well, here's my question for you.
Uh-huh.
Here's my question for you, Keith. What do you expect out of Antonio Brown week in and week out?
Pretty much what he did. I think he had 2 touchdowns and 90 yards.
And that isn't out of the realm of craziness?
Only because he's consistently done this, though.
I said between 80 and 100 and a touch.
But he's my number 1 receiver. You drafted Cordell as your number 1. You have Des Bryant and Julio Jones.
I know.
You're number 3. Your number 3 technically is like,
Right. It's like the number.
you know
So
what I'm
here's the thing.
saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. So here's a question, quick quiz for you. Where do you think Cordell Patterson is right now as fantasy receivers are concerned? Where do you think he ranks right now this year? Because I have.
If I had to guess randomly without,
I'll get a stat guy today.
I'd
So we're-
say between 25 and 40.
no way, higher. I'd say he's like 16th.
He's higher than that actually.
That was just a guess.
Now my league gives up bonus points, but it doesn't matter. Production is production. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think he's 13th in fantasy receivers right now.
That's not where I'm looking, Mo. Hold on. 3.
He has.
9.
Are you looking at projections?
No, I'm not. I'm looking at
wait.
fantasy points. He's like 13.
Year to date.
I just want to say that before we get too far more into this,
Yeah.
that we're talking way too much about Cordell Patterson, but
I know, but I'm just making a point for Joe right now. Where's he at?
No,
He's like
I
13,
complete-
right?
I completely agree with you.
4, 6.
He's at, I'm looking right at it. The only people that are behind him.
He's 13.
Yeah, he's 13.
You know
He's
what?
13.
You know what's
Right.
really funny? If you look,
He's ahead of Brandon Marshall right now and
The-
Michael Floyd. And
The
he
problem
has-
with that is the
He
the
hasn't
fact that he had a ridiculous run that was basically fluky,
exactly.
and that's the reason why So you got to like I said, even though he's 13th, he really should be probably like in the 20th or
But
21st.
by that logic, I mean, you could say AJ Green had a fluky touchdown in week 2, and Alan Hearns had a couple fluky touchdowns.
Well, that's true.
Like if we start pulling out people's fluky
Yeah,
stuff,
but the problem with that is AJ Green has done it year in and year out since he's been in the league. So you're comparing a guy who's done it like twice to a guy that's been doing it for like years, and that's the
15
difference.
Fluky touchdowns in the last 2 years.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
you can't. I get what you're saying. You can't count on fluky touchdowns, but they all count.
Here's my
For
point.
points.
Here's my point. If you look at CBS fantasy right now and you look at wide receivers year to date,
Hmm
there is about, let's see, if he was 13, 15, 17, 20, 19, 21, 25, he's literally the only one with a down arrow. I have to go all the way down to Marcus Colston on the list, which is like way, way down there above Jordan
Mhm.
Matthews, to see a down arrow. Like I want more from him. I expected Cordell Patterson to have a better year than Kelvin Benjamin. Didn't you?
He still might have a better year than Kelvin.
I expected Shady McCoy to have more points than like 13.
What's that?
Yeah. Well,
What'd you say?
Me or Joe?
Open capture, smile. Why'd you do that? Turn
I
it
I lost. I don't know how I did. How do I get rid of this?
It looks like extra. Yeah. So
There we go.
okay, you're right. Let's get off of
Let's get off Cordo. We took
Let's-
care of the quarterbacks. Let's go to wide receivers.
horrible.
Since we're on it.
No. Let's go into how horrible the first round draft pick wide running backs have been, and how
Yeah.
great pretty much the first round draft pick wide receivers have been, and quarterbacks.
Right.
Now that I think about it, and tight ends.
Right.
I have a list right here of the top, like, whatever in our league of everybody, and every one of these guys was taken in the second round. So the top 10 rounded down. DeMarco Murray, number 1, taken in the second round, right? He wasn't
Right.
taken in the first round.
Right.
Marshawn Lynch, second round in our league at least. Le'Veon Bell was taken at the end of the first round, which
Right.
was almost a third round at that point because he was taken by the number 1 pick at the wraparound.
Rashad Jones.
Stop
Rashad
listening.
Jennings.
Yeah. Can
Right.
I just interject real quick?
Go ahead.
Stop listening to the pundits in the off season. Watch the tape. Watch the highlights. You have to look at these cats. Everyone wrote off Marshawn Lynch. Everyone called DeMarco Murray garbage. Everyone called Le'Veon Bell
A
garbage.
weed head.
They called him a weed head. They called him garbage. And they are absolutely showing out. And I want to kick myself, not really because I got Dez and Julio, but I'd rather have Julio and Le'Veon Bell any day of the week. I would trade Dez in a heartbeat, and he was my number 1 draft pick, all because I'm fucking listening to, Romo's back is great, and Dez wants to do this, that, and the other. Le'Veon Bell, he smokes pot. He lost all the weight. I don't think that's going to be good for him. But if you watched him last year, he came in after missing 4 games, and he had a great comparative to other rookies rookie year. Meanwhile, you look at someone like a Doug Martin who, if you take away 3 or 4 plays in his entire rookie season, it was a very pedestrian season. And then he shat the bed last year, and people were surprised that he's shitting the bed again. And Bobby Rainey is now like the number 1 in Tampa Bay.
Bobby Rainey, by the way, is the 13th ranked overall back in our league. I just counted just to make sure I wasn't like completely insane. But yeah, that's
Bobby Rainey is what they were hoping Doug Martin was, sans the fumbles and shit. And
I don't think that there's ever been a year this crazy where none of the top pick running backs have been in the top like 10, and they're literally out of like the top 15, which is really kind of weird. Honestly, it's like strange as fuck. I mean, I know some of it has to do with injuries and child beatings and whatnot, but
Well, okay. Well, let's just look at it. Who do you think is going to
emerge.
of those? Let's take Lacey. We'll take Jamal Charles. Shady. We'll take Forte, and we'll take like Monty Ball. Was he the fifth one off the board in our league?
We're not taking LaShawn?
I said Shady.
Okay. Then you said Jamal Charles, right?
I said JC, Shady, Forte, Lacey, and Monty Ball. Which one of those in what order?
Well, I'm crossing Monty Ball off my list because I said from the get-go that people taking him in the first round were fucking insane. I'm sorry. I didn't get it. I don't understand why people were thinking it. And so far, I look like a genius. This might all turn around, and then when you come back and listen to this, you'll be like, that guy's an idiot. But hey.
No, I think you have something with Monty Ball.
I mean, he's got to be the lowest ranked on the list out of the 5. I'd say he has the least chance of cracking the top 10/5 or whatever we're looking at here. I mean, do you not agree with that?
I agree with that. I would say that Charles probably has a chance to crack that.
If Charles can get healthy, I don't think injury really can be considered the problem. I mean, obviously injury sucks, but it's more like a weird thing.
It's not injuries. It's more about opportunity and what the situation is. And the Chiefs don't have any passing game at all.
You know what his problem is?
Who's that?
It's an ankle injury in the form of a 400-pound fucking head coach that unless he fucking carries in the first game. 11 touches in the first game of the season for the number one fucking running back in fantasy football last year. Are you fucking kidding me?
Well, I mean, here it is. I mean, he asked who you think would kind of emerge, and to me, I think it's got to be, the guys like maybe LaShawn, maybe Lacy, because those are the more high-powered offenses. So you from a getting a goal line type carry type standpoint, those guys are going to be in there and they should be able to emerge. That's just my opinion.
I think you're going to think I'm crazy, but I think Lacy honestly is going to turn it around before any of those other guys, and I might be wrong about that.
I'm a Lacy owner, so let's hope.
And I'm a Shady owner, and that's why I'm really I'm going against what I need. And since I need LaShawn to emerge, obviously he won't. It's a guarantee. Unless I trade him. So I'll keep you guys posted on that.
Okay, so I shouldn't even be telling you this. And one of the things we've sort of decided to do is keep it relatively vague as far as, who to be picking up. I mean, this cat's in my league, and if I tell him who I'm picking up in the waiver wire, he's, 1 or 2? And I'm 6. I'm fucking myself. So I'll let you know tomorrow who, or Thursday when we do the next.
Well, then I should have went out and played poker tonight. What the fuck you make me do in this podcast?
You want me to tell you who I'm taking? Who are you taking with the 2? You should be telling me. I shouldn't be telling
I'll tell you who I have in for the 2. I need, dude, here's another thing that you're not factoring in. I can't go based on best chances. I'm 0-3. I have no defense, no tight end, no kicker, and basically no quarterback. They're all on bye. I can't even drop that many people to pick up a team at this point. So I'm going for
whoever decided the bye weeks this year was clearly smoking something.
What?
This is the bye NATO. There's like 6 teams on bye this week, and the only teams that are on bye the next week are the Raiders and the Dolphins. It's awful.
Yeah,
the schedule's awful.
Exactly.
But let's just get back to the running backs. One thing real quick. You guys are talking about the top 3 guys. Mm-hmm. I would dare say that none of those guys finish in the top by the time the end of the season's over with in the top 10.
You think none of them do?
Marshawn
maybe Le'Veon Bell.
All 3 of them do.
No. There's no. Let me tell you why. Because
so you're claiming. Well, I just want to make sure that everyone understands. You're claiming Le'Veon Bell, Marshawn Lynch, and who else?
DeMarco Murray.
DeMarco Murray. None of them finished in the top 10.
I said maybe Le'Veon. I don't think Rashad. I don't think Marshawn Lynch or DeMarco Murray finished there. And here's why.
Are we taking bets, dude?
We could take bets. We talked about this before. These guys are getting crazy carries already, and in the way these running backs are dropping like flies, there's no way that's sustainable for 16 games.
Keith have been playing bet me in weeks 1 through 10 for the last 15 years.
And we always forget the bet, but now we started this podcast a lot because we want to remember the bets.
The first one.
I know what it is. You know what the bet is, right?
What's that?
It's Roddy versus Cordell.
Roddy versus Cordell?
What? Who did I have?
Oh wait, you did have Roddy, didn't you?
I said my bold prediction was Roddy will score more than Cordell before the season started. You said I'll take the bet. You're winning right now, and then obviously Roddy missed the game.
Life like you're hating Shady about that because
Roddy can't even get healthy, so. Yeah, but Roddy can't even get on the field, so you're going to win default.
Dude,
you're going to get like 3 points a game and beat me because Roddy don't play.
It'll literally be the tortoise versus the hare because my guy gets off to the fast start. He's the fast guy.
I like it.
He's in week 3, and next thing you know, he's putting up 88 and a touch because Julio is getting 160 and 2 touches because he's a fucking monster.
So let me ask you guys a question real quick. So you think that Marshawn, DeMarco, and Rashad Jennings are going to stay healthy with that workload all year long?
I don't think you can count the healthiness. I agree with you that they're probably going to get hurt, but realistically, we're talking about where they finish if they play all the games, aren't we? Kind of
I think we're just talking period because these would be the guys that you'd want to sell high on.
If that's the case, then I would take DeMarco Murray to go down.
Right, me too.
For that.
I mean, DeMarco and Rashad both have injury history.
You don't understand that Marshawn Lynch's
His Skittles are laced with HGH.
Exactly. His Skittles are laced with HGH.
Injury history, and Marshawn Lynch is fucking invincible or some shit. So,
Well, I mean, he got a lot of carries last year. I don't see it happening again this year.
dude, that's what everybody fucking said. And look at him; he's still doing what Marshawn Lynch does. I think Marshawn Lynch is actually only like 22 or something like that.
No, he's older. He's making a joke, but
No, there was an old movie. Actually, you know what? We got a new name from him. There's an old movie that came out years ago. It's called Brother from Another Planet. I think that's what Marshawn Lynch's nickname should be, because there's no way he's human if he's getting all those carries and he's taking all those hits and he initiates contact all the time.
You know why?
There's just
He initiates contact, but he doesn't get contacted nearly as much.
because they're afraid of him.
Exactly.
He's going to push their head down into the ground. They're like,
So, like,
this guy a running back? What's going on here?
I liken him to like Frank Gore, who doesn't seem to ever die, but he's a much better running back than Frank Gore is.
I drafted LaShawn McCoy last year. Wait, did his mic go weird or did something happen? Was that...
Who's Mike? Mine?
I don't know. I couldn't hear you for a second. But I just want to state for the record that last year I had the 4th overall pick. I took Marshawn Lynch. Looked great at the beginning of the season. Shady went 5 after me, and I watched Shady destroy. I was angry the whole year. This year I got my redo. I got Shady.
Well,
And
you
he's
watched
a
Shady destroy.
fucking bum.
You watched Shady destroy, but you also had
Trash in a basket.
Really good season. And, okay, so back to sort of my point, and last year is a really good example of exactly what I was talking about, where, if you listen to the pundits, you're going to get fucked. Last year, if I remember, the top 6 picks were Adrian Peterson was first off the board, which is an obvious. He is going to go down as probably the best in my opinion. He's the best running back in our generation. Up there past, in my opinion, LaDainian Tomlinson and like the Marshall Faulks of the world.
right.
So he went first. The second pick off the board was Doug Martin, a second-year running back. The third one off the board was C.J. Spiller, a third-year running back.
Yeah, he was awful.
And 4, 5, and 6, which was me, Elgin, and Keith, was Jamal Charles, who, the year after he blew out his knee, he came back and had a really, really solid season. And you just knew the talent that he actually had. The next one off the board was Marshawn Lynch, who, ended up having a incredible season. I laughed at Keith when he fucking took Marshawn Lynch, and then Shady, I was mad that he didn't take Shady because that left fucking Shady in my division, and I had to go up against Shady fucking 2 times a year instead of a Marshawn Lynch. And Shady had 19 touchdowns and 1,600 yards, or no,
he went nuts.
Touchdowns. He had like 12 touchdowns and 1,700 yards, just destroying cats week in and week out. And the reason why Shady dropped, it was the pundits. There was no reason why, if you watched Doug Martin's season the year before, there's no reason in the world he should be in the top 3.
Right.
No reason in the world. Like, okay, yeah, he had a 71-point game, and before, and he had like a 2 or 3 touchdown game. But other than that, they were incredibly boring games. So much so that he was on a lot of benches when he dropped 71.
Yeah. I was just checking something out while you were talking. It was pretty funny. Like, I understand your whole thing, but I was just reminiscing over the good old days of fantasy when I got into DOA for like the 2nd or 3rd year, when I had drafted Jay Cutler and Brandon Marshall, and I had the 6-15 in progress for the first half of the season when they were basically unstoppable, and then people start to defend them. Right. That was a good year to start.
That name was stolen by me. 317 in progress was Derek Anderson to Braylon Edwards. Just wanted to state for the record.
Braylon Edwards. What are you doing, kid? What is happening? So, all right. So what do we got? Tight ends. I mean, you know what? It's really difficult to sort of have these waiver wire shows because
Well, let's just go through the obvious, like the semi-obvious ones right now from
yeah.
tight end standpoint.
Let me just talk about like the guys on. I'm not. Should I even mention the name whose waiver wire rankings I'm about to look at?
Nah, I wouldn't mention any names, but just throw out who they are.
Lorenzo Taliaferro is the number one on the list.
Which I, helped somebody. I told somebody in our league to pick him up because he was just terrible, and I didn't.
Yeah, and we were talking about him 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I told him to pick him up week 1.
Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce was drafted in almost every fucking league that I can think of. What like when you're a tight end that drops
Right.
like 2 60-yard touchdowns in preseason, you're gonna get drafted.
Right.
That's I'm sorry, especially when you're the only people forgot that Tony Fasano existed until Andy Reid decided to fucking throw him balls. Owen Daniels,
No, Owen Daniels could be good now. With Pitta out, he could be. I'm not saying he's going to be great.
No, I agree because he's back. He's basically the only person on that team that knows the offense.
And Joe Flacco doesn't understand what wide receivers are. Also, you got to factor that in.
Well, you
Nah.
say that, but Steve Smith
He's
Sr.
Steve Smith.
is
He's taking everything from Torrey.
9 touchdowns a game. Torrey Smith might have forgot how to wide receiver. Not Joe Flacco. Well, their offensive line isn't very good either. I don't think.
Who's that? Baltimore?
What is that? What is that?
Actually, this is the part I'd like to say. This is my mac and cheese pickup of the week. This is mac and cheese, but my mac and cheese pickup of the week is Travis Kelce.
Oh, is it? Yeah. All right.
If you're in an 8-team league,
Jordan Matthews has been on the waiver. Has Jordan Matthews been on the waiver wire in any of your?
He is in the waiver wire in my league because somebody dropped him because he.
I love Jordan Matthews before the season started. Just to let you guys know.
I did too, and he's a lot better than the racist, as he's clearly showing.
Yeah, he's better than the racist, but I mean that's another train that's going to get derailed.
No,
soon.
that's not going to get derailed. You know what it is? Nick
Why is it
Foles.
not going to get derailed? Because their offensive line is going to get healthier.
No,
the next
because Nick
couple of weeks?
Foles is trying to prove that he's not a racist when we all know that he is.
Nick
And by
Foles?
that, that's what he's doing.
Andrew Hawkins.
Anti-racism. Remember that whole anti-racism thing?
Wait,
Yeah.
how many? Okay, wait. So wait, can we go back to your league real quick, John?
I'm
Yeah.
in the bagel too, in case anybody's wondering. I'm like the Artie Lang of this show.
Dude, is
Okay.
it 12 teams?
12 teams.
And how many roster spots do you guys have?
We only have six. We only have 6 bench spots.
6 bench spots.
We start 2 tight end. You start 1 tight end, 2 wide receivers, a flex, 2 running backs, a quarterback, kicker, defense.
See, I don't like leagues with not a big bench because it kind of makes it like you can still get guys in that league, and maybe that's what the thing is.
But
Maybe
it makes it interesting because then people actually have to make tough choices about who they're going to keep.
Dude, I have to make a tough choice every week. I build my squads, and I
You have 14 people on your bench. You literally shouldn't be picking up
I have
anybody.
9 people. I have 9 people on my bench, and there's none of them that I really want to get rid of. I picked them all up for a very legitimate reason.
Here's the reason that this works for my league, because the bench is shallow, because when you throw in the night football rule thing, like you can have too many goddamn options too. So I think it's perfect for if you're building a roster and you're pulling people out there. If you want to, swap people in and out, like I mean, having 9 bench spots, like if we threw 3 more on there, that'd be ridiculous.
It would
in
be
my
ridiculous. It's actually the reason why I like it is because I feel like no matter where I am in the waiver wire position, I'm going to get the best person available that I can get, and if I don't
Because you have
get one of those
because you have a deep bench. That's why.
It's because I feel like I can evaluate talent well. It's because I feel like everyone on my team isn't there just for
Okay,
money
so
rules and
let's
shit like
just
that.
okay, I got it. But let's look at your team right now. Like if you lost three roster spots, who would be gone from your team?
Devontae Adams would be off my roster.
Okay, he'd be available in our league. Who else?
Josh Gordon.
Okay, because you wouldn't want to waste.
He would never be off my list. It would be Stephen Taylor.
Right, who's available in our league?
It would be Stephen Taylor. It would be Devontae Adams, and it
Available?
would be the Bills and the Bills do.
And someone actually drafted the Bills defense. So what you're basically saying is you're just holding up people in the queue that you're probably never going to play. Whether you evaluate talent or not.
Okay, well, you say that, but if you look at the rest of my bench, Niall Davis, I plan on playing. Bobby Rainey, Carlos Hyde. I have Carlos Hyde for a very good reason. I think he's a beast, and
Did you draft him? I'm talking about people you picked up, though. But talking about the people that you picked up, if you look at everybody, how many? Like, if you look at your roster right now,
right?
Who did you pick up off of waivers? Niall Davis.
I picked Niall Davis off of waivers. I picked
Bobby Rainey, because you didn't draft him.
Devonta Adams.
All right, so it's six in one hand, half dozen in the other. Like the extra people that you have on your bench would be out on waivers in my league. Like you're not adding any extra value to your team by having those extra.
I mean, but you say that, but at the same time,
You just proved it. You just proved it because they would be off of your team if you lost those 3 roster spots. So all you're doing is basically.
There's a lot of guys that I might have taken that I would have had instead because of the shorter roster spots. Like you just named 3, but after one more, who do I drop? Do I drop Carlos Hyde? Why would I do that?
No, you wouldn't drop Carlos Hyde.
Would I drop Niall Davis? Mark Ingram? Ben Tate? Shane Vereen? Des Bryant? Brandon Cooks? Josh Gordon? Why would I ever drop any of those guys? My team is stacked.
But don't you start 3 wide receivers in the flex or no?
No flex.
3. No flex.
Yeah, speaking of, Hester or Curly, who should I drop?
Wow.
Curly.
I mean,
I actually have the decision to make this week, and I'm going to drop Curly.
Is Curly the number 1?
Curly's going to be the number 1, but Geno's still the number 1 quarterback. So as long as Geno's the number 1 quarterback, like his upside is going to be limited. And Eric Decker, you got to figure his hamstring's going to get better. You also got to figure Rex Ryan isn't going to let Geno Smith lose games for him anymore. This is a segment we call answering the phone during the podcast. By the way, we're giving out fantasy advice.
Craziest shit in the world.
All right, so Geno Smith's still the quarterback. Rex Ryan's not going to let him, and he's definitely not going to let Marty Mornhinweg run that team into the ground. He's going to get back to basics. They're going to get Chris Ivory the ball. They're going to let Geno Smith throw it every now and then. Devin Hester's role is going to probably increase because you've got Roddy White, who's dealing with a hamstring issue. Harry Douglas is dealing with a foot issue. You know Atlanta can score points. He's the better person to keep, in my opinion. That's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah. I guess my only problem with Devin Hester is the fact that this will literally be the first year of his career that he has been a viable offensive option in fantasy football.
Also, one more thing. If your league gives points for kick returns and punt returns, that's buns.
Well, yeah, for sure. Those are special teams and defense
right.
plays.
Right.
That's you get it, not your fucking wide receiver.
Right, or your running back for that matter.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. It's just like, I honestly don't. I think I've learned my lesson. I don't want guys in my skill positions returning punts.
Right.
It just doesn't work out unless your name is Brian Westbrook. It just does. It's just not good. Like I don't want my star, to be looking up in the sky and maybe puking on himself, depending on how bright it is outside. Percy Harvin, then he's out for the season because he's got like migraines or he's. It's just
or getting
on punts and kicks than it is like
right.
Your fucking job that I.
That said, I wish Eddie Lacy would start returning kicks and punts.
You want him to return punts and kicks so that so he could possibly get hurt and you don't have to.
Well, because then the fumbles won't count against him. That's why.
I just made a decision. This is a very bold prediction that I'm making. I'm benching LaShawn McCoy in favor of Lamar Miller. I'm starting Justin Forsett and Lamar Miller this week because
that's awful.
That's we're gonna find out because I'm gonna be accountable. We're gonna hold ourselves accountable, not like these other guys, these pundits and bullshit. You never hear about their picks.
And by holding
You will hear next
accountable,
week.
I will talk to you on Sunday night during the game that motherfucker put him in and said, fuck that shit.
No chance.
Fucking
He's playing San Francisco in San Francisco. They're angry. They're gonna put their penises down on the Eagles' heads, and the Eagles' heads. It's
Can I ask you a question real quick? See,
you asking?
I'm in a situation where I have 4 running backs to play. Okay, I have Eddie Lacy. Actually, I don't have 4 this week because Ellington's on a bye. I have Lacy, Lamar Miller, and Stephen Ridley. Those are my running backs.
Lacy and Lamar.
Lacy and Lamar.
Yeah, Lacy and Lamar. But you're like, you know, Justin Forsett over Shady McCoy. That's brutal.
That's
Okay, and I'll tell you why. Because he's playing Carolina at home, who is the 26th ranked fucking defense against the run, whereas LaShawn McCoy's playing in San Francisco against an angry team that lost a game last week that they probably should have won or could have won against a division rival Arizona, and they're the 3rd ranked rushing defense. I'm not trying to fucking have another 20 carry, 22 fucking yard week. He's going to score 7 fantasy points this week. That's it.
But Justin Forsett runs like he's in a sumo suit. Like, it's terrible. Like, why?
And that's the thing. Let me ask you this.
That's the thing. Lorenzo Taliaferro has taken that job. Have you not? Did you not?
No, I don't think he's taking the job. Actually, I think they still
job.
like.
They're still gonna give them. They're still gonna give them all carries. But we knew what Justin Forsett was.
Well, actually, we knew about Bernard. We knew what Bernard Pierce was. He wasn't that great.
Let me ask you this. Okay, just you don't know for sure, but how many points over the season do you think LaShawn has, and how many points do you think Justin Forsett has?
Okay, we already know LaShawn McCoy does
1 point less. Justin Sumo Suit Forsett has 28 points, and LaShawn Shady, supposed to be good, but is a bum McCoy, has 29 point whatever.
Well, here's my point for that. And you are saying that Shady is a fucking bum, and he has more points than the bum plus 1, than the bum minus 1.
Literally, he's plus 1 on the bum. 1 point.
Right. So no. He's 1 back on the bum.
No, Shady's up.
Exactly.
Let me ask you a question real quick before we even get to that.
Justin Forsett is less than a bum.
Justin Forsett is less than a bum.
He's less than a bum. He's bum
less than a bum.
minus 1. That is what 28 points is to the guy that you're fucking talking shit on. Stop it. It's crazy talk.
So you're
Shady, and Justin Forsett is not.
I mean, if you had somebody like Donald Brown, then I would say okay, maybe.
Start Donald Brown over Shady, you would say?
That's a better. I could
Closer.
deal with that logic than Justin Forsett.
Exactly, because
who's Baltimore
Donald Brown
playing
might-
anyway?
Donald Brown could possibly get somewhere between. He's always pretty much going to get between 15 and 25 touches. He got 31 last week. They're not going to give Justin Forsett 31 touches.
Oh my God! So you're saying Sproles over LaShawn is the play because they're going to be running those bullshit little screens on their blitz.
100% Sproles over fucking Justin Forsett.
Lamar Miller and Darren Sproles. Boom. Ship it. Not changing my lineup. I will not. Can I lock this somehow?
Who would you rather start, Justin Forsett or Sproles?
Sproles every day.
Yeah, I'd rather start Sproles. See, I didn't know you had Sproles. Do you have Sproles and McCoy on your team?
Yeah, I'll fuck around. I thought he was a handcuff. Turns out he's better. I don't know what the fuck. Like,
Yeah, he's your backfield.
I wish I took. If I took Peyton Manning and then drafted Sproles in the 8th round, I would be laughing right now because I
Here's-
was.
a good problem.
Here's a quick fantasy tip for all you listeners out there. Don't draft 2 running backs who split carries on the same goddamn team. That's you pick one and you stick with it. Like,
No, that's not true. Because the
Okay,
team.
what are you
if
going
I-
to throw the Fred Jackson, C.J. Spiller thing out there? That's going to annoy you because one guy's going to get production, the other guy's not, and you just wasted a roster spot.
You don't want to draft, the one or the other.
Especially if they're not really
That's
handcuffs, if they're
backup.
splitting. Yeah, like
Exactly.
that's
RBC.
draft Lacy and James
RBCs are
Starks.
tough.
yeah. But it's like having one guy in my league picked up Forsett because he drafted Pierce thinking that Rice was going to be out, and then he picked up Forsett, and I'm like, why? Like, it's just at that point you just want to have. It's like having you have one running back who's on one scrub running back, and you draft another scrub running back. They're both going to cut into production. It's just dumb. It's like
The only thing
it's
worse,
just the worst thing in the world.
the only thing worse than having two running backs that are splitting carries is basically having two wide receivers on the same team. It just never works out well. There's only so many balls that are going to go into the air, and either one of them is going to get a lot, the other one's going to get a lot, or they're both going to split a lot and have like two medium-sized games. So it's
You just have to hedge your bets on one guy or the other. That's what it
barely
comes
works
down
out.
to.
I mean, think what team would you want to be starting both wide receivers on this year? I don't think there's anyone.
Chicago.
Maybe. But what is
Chicago. That'd be the only
what
team.
has Brandon Marshall and Alshon Jeffries done together this season so far?
At the
Nothing.
same time, nothing. It's either been one guy or the other.
One or the other.
But that's what I'm saying. That's
Same with Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb. Same with
right.
Roddy White and.
I guess if you consider a tight end a wide receiver, which you don't, but Julius Thomas and I guess Emmanuel Sanders have been pretty.
Yeah, I mean that literally is one of the only ones because it's not New Orleans.
If that counts, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean Gronk and Brandon Cooks, who seems to be the number 2.5 option, number 2 in the passing game.
There basically is. There is no team where you want to have both guys unless it's the Philly. Maybe it's Macklin and Jordan Matthews. That's probably about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess technically this year the best
Or
would
you
be.
can go Kaepernick, or not Kaepernick. You can go Crabtree and.
I think AJ Green and Mohamed Sanu thus far would probably be the only two that. But that's ridiculous. But you know what I'm saying.
I'll take the Philly guys over those two guys.
Okay, I just want to play a quick game with you guys. Let's call it, good shit or fuck my life. And
Like it.
basically,
I already love it.
I'm gonna go through round 1 of our draft.
All right, wait, time out real quick, and I don't want to cut this. Do you want to finish the wide receivers, or do we already do that and then do it, or do you want to?
Yeah, let's get through the.
Wide
Let's get
receiver.
through the waivers
Because
first.
if we get through the wide receivers, we're not really going to sit there and talk about tight ends and shit, are we?
Well, we could talk about tight ends. You said Owen Daniels, Dwayne Allen if he's available.
Dwayne Allen, Larry Donald, and Niles Paul should.
They're probably
be
gone.
off. They're probably gone, right?
Yeah, Ladarius Green. Does Ladarius Green get more production now that Gates is being taken away or taken away?
I don't think people are dropping Ladarius Green like that, are they?
What about Quarles? I mean, he's on Green Bay, and it looks like they're going to struggle. They might need like that guy. Is he the number one?
I don't think you want to own any Green Bay tight end because the offensive line sucks right now, and they're going to be left in to run block.
O-line sucks. Rodgers sucks at blocking, apparently.
And life.
Richard Rodgers apparently is just a terrible blocker.
I would say a sleeper tight end that you want to throw out there maybe is Zach Miller, who's probably underutilized. And I know Seattle's on the bye and everything, but he's kind of underutilized, and that might be a guy you might look at.
I don't want anybody who's not named Marshawn Lynch on Seattle. I'm sorry.
You don't want Percy Harvin? You don't want Percy Harvin?
I know. I want Russell Wilson and I want Marshawn Lynch.
Okay.
Russell Wilson is throwing the ball to everybody, but everybody's also getting the balls. No one had over like 70 yards this week. He throws. Everyone gets 5 balls. Everyone gets 80 yards, and that is definitely not what I want from a week.
What about the guy in Dallas, Escobar? Jason Witten runs in mud. Escobar at least can get downfield.
He runs in mud, but the problem is, I think Tony Romo is a little woo-hoo when it comes to him because he's still getting a fucking ton of balls.
It's true.
He still catches the ball every time. It's like 2nd and long or third and medium, 3rd and long. He's going to it's going to Jason Witten. Not.
I think the recurring
Right.
theme here, actually, if you wanted, a good strategy, and this is just some, bonus content that we typically wouldn't put out, but if you're looking to draft a fantasy tight end, make sure the running game isn't that great. With the exception of maybe Philly, where you have Ertz and you have Shady and those guys. If the running game's not that great, the tight end more often than not is going to be kept in the run block, and they're not going to get a lot of production. Like you look at teams that can run the ball, like Arizona, like Carlson's there. Vernon Davis is got more passes, but they're not really running the ball like they should. That's probably a good strategy just to kind of stay away from something like that. The Seahawks can run the ball.
Do you think football? Do you think fantasy football sort of dictates sort of how the seasons are going to go, or do you think it's the other way around?
It's the other way around. That's how I.
Well, here's what I mean. So we're sort of looking at like Jimmy Graham. I think Jimmy Graham was 9th in our league.
Right.
And he's not having the 9th pick. I want Jimmy Graham sort of season.
Because they're running the ball more.
And same with the the Gronks of the world.
Because they're trying to run the ball.
And same with I don't know, but are they?
No power running game starts with a tight end not on a line of scrimmage and in a 3-point stance.
Well, I mean, look, he's power running game. Is that what you said?
Yes, and that's what these teams all try to do. Jason Witten's being kept in the block because he can't run anymore, and they want to run the ball, and they don't want Tony Romo to fuck it up. It's the same thing that's going to happen with the Jets. They want to run the ball. They don't want Geno Smith to fuck it up. That's why Amaro or whoever is off the radar.
So
that's just how it's going to be.
What's Jimmy Graham's excuse?
For what?
For sucking it up.
For not having a good season.
For having the DTs.
For having a decent season.
Because remember when we talked in the beginning of the year, you have to guard yourself about your predictions and what, like, from a football standpoint. If you said to me, like you said at the beginning of the year, Mark Ingram was going to be good, he's going to do this, and you were 100% right. You said that. Mark Ingram is going to be really good. But you also said Drew Brees is going to break records, and I just thought that was a weird comment because it's like I don't think there's enough touchdowns for them both to do that in that offense. It's got to be one or the other.
The way that I was looking at New Orleans offense this year was the same way that I was looking at Denver's offense last year.
It's not the same team, though.
It's not the same team, but they're also not playing in the same division. They're not playing the same teams. They're playing the Tampa Bays of the world, the terrible fucking Atlanta Falcons defenses of the world.
But by comparison, the Saints receivers are horrible compared to the Broncos receivers of last year.
I agree. Well,
and the running game is arguably about the same, if not worse.
Well, that was sort of my point. I really thought that. I thought that Jimmy Graham was going to be the Jimmy Graham that was drafted as high as he was, as the pretty much the highest draft pick for a tight end ever in fantasy football history.
Right.
I thought that Brandon Cooks, and I really do like Brandon Cooks, but they seem to be bottling him up, or they're not really running plays that gets him down the field. He's getting a lot of sort of short intermediate passes more than he is getting sort of those bombs. And I'm just hoping for Peyton's sake that they're just sort of playing a rope-a-dope.
It's the same thing I said for Peyton Manning
in Baltimore.
But the same thing. It's the same conversation we had in August about the Broncos, and I told you, I said, if you really want to know what dictates fantasy football, it's the Super Bowl. You watch the Super Bowl because everybody watches it and everybody says the team that won the Super Bowl, that's what we have to try to be like. We have to try to be like this team. We have to play better defense. We have to get our running game going. Like, it's great. Peyton Manning threw 60 touchdowns, but it didn't get him a championship ring. So to think that Peyton Manning's going to have that same production the next year from a football standpoint is insane. You know what they had to do? They had to run out and get a better defensive unit. They had to slow the offense down a little bit and just say, hey, look, we want to be able to score, but basically we want to have a running game. We want to have a defense This is how we're going to get back to where we need to be. We expect these guys to play 19, 20 games this year. So as the season wears on, we're probably going to pull back on, some of the carries for people and all that other kind of stuff. Like, that's what's going to happen. That's what dictates, like, fantasy football, which is why I said to you I didn't see enough touchdowns for the Saints, because if they're trying to establish the run, just in time of possession, there's just not enough time for Breeze to drop back, in the course of a game, especially if they can't stop anybody. Like, it's just not sustainable. It's not Tecmo.
Here's Here's the radical sort of thought that I've got right now. If you take a look at all of the guys who are not performing that well, and we'll get to it in Fuck My Life or
Good shit.
Which I can't wait for, actually. Just
Good shit or Fuck My Life. I mean, if you look at every one of those guys, like, I believe that the ones who are doing really well are the ones who people wrote off in the fantasy football sort of aspect. They wrote off the Le'Veon Bells. They wrote off the, DeMarco Murrays. They wrote off the Marshawn Lynches of the world. And those are the ones who seem to be getting written off by defenses also. I mean, yeah, they have the talent, but at the same time, everyone anointed Jamal Charles and Shady and Forte and Lacey as the fucking pimp shits, and the Cordell Patterson's another one that sort of falls in that category where they're being touted as Superstar Jones, whereas last year Shady wasn't being touted as Superstar Jones. Jamal Charles was being consistently drafted behind Doug Martin and what's his name, C.J. Spiller, and
right.
Adrian Peterson also didn't have as great of a season because he was Adrian Peterson. So when I'm saying that fantasy football dictates how the season is, I think the pundits are a little bit too close to football to be good fantasy football analysts, because they're essentially going off of what they're hearing from like other teams and beat writers and this, that, and the other, instead of what they're seeing with their eyes. And I don't know. I just imagine that if fantasy football didn't exist, it would be a lot easier. I think the dip in running back superstardom has a lot to do with fantasy football. You can you see like the Marshall Faulks and the LaDainian Tomlinsons and the Emmitt Smiths of the world. They just aren't there anymore. Even like the Sean Alexanders and the Priest Holmeses and the Larry Johnsons. I think fantasy football got too big for football because it's sort of dictating. The fans are sort of dictating how teams are acting, and Niles Davis scored a touchdown, and his celebration, which was pretty fucking sick, was him running
with the handcuff,
as a handcuff.
I saw that as it happened, by the way.
He scored a touchdown, and the first thing he thought was, I just fucking lit up the waiver wire this week with myself.
Well, I don't know if that kind of stuff dictates it. I think
we also know Bill Belichick fucking hates fantasy football.
Well, and so did Mike Shanahan, but I think the rule changes actually dictate the way things are going. It's a lot easier for receivers to get open now. It's a lot easier for them to kind of freelance out there. I mean, you can't touch them, you can't breathe on them, things like that. So it makes it really tough, and it makes it hard for anybody.
Why is it making it so much harder for running backs also?
Because it's easier for you to get down the field with a 10-yard pass and to give it to your running back and crash into offensive line.
If I was a defensive coach, wouldn't I sort of have more people back there so that there didn't need to be as much? Like if I'm going to run a zone, I don't know, maybe like the 3-4 fronts are going to have to come back again because
you can put
seem to be enough of defense.
Right, but you could put Troy Vincent and Eric Allen back there. If they're playing in this day and age with the rules, they're going to get PI every time, and guys are going to get past them, and people are going to get downfield regardless. Like the rules are just so much looser now. Well, I'm gonna say tighter actually for defensive backs. Like, I mean, when you watch the glory days of running backs and good defensive football. I mean, you can clutch, you can grab, you could arm bar somebody and all that kind of stuff. You can't get away with that crap anymore.
So what do you think would happen to a Marshall Faulk or a LaDainian Tomlinson today? Would they still be Marshall Faulk and LaDainian Tomlinson?
Yeah, because they're coming out of the backfield. That's just like a rare talent. They're not lining up wide and doing stuff like that.
Honestly, they had ridiculous offensive lines and ridiculous fullbacks and shit. Like, not a lot of people, and they had like ridiculous passing. They had everything. Like the greatest show on turf. I mean, Marshall Faulk was, you couldn't stack the box against Marshall Faulk because Torrey Holt or fucking.
Oh, yeah, Torrey Holt and Isaac Bruce would beat you.
Yeah, exactly. Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt were catching like those slant patterns all day, like it was a Madden game.
Right.
Kurt Warner's putting up fucking 70 touchdowns and shit, but
Right.
not that many.
But they did that. But they did that before the rules.
But here's the thing: how many Super Bowls does that greatest show on turf win?
2.
One?
They won
One?
1 or 2.
One.
They went to 2. They lost the second one to the Patriots in the first.
Who had a vanilla offense, a rookie quarterback in Tom Brady, I believe. And they
Yeah,
had
a rookie
running-
quarterback that's way better than we thought. At the time, we thought he was
I
bad.
don't believe in conspiracy theories, but it seemed really odd that the New England Patriots didn't lose another game after 9/11 in 2001.
I always thought that was weird, but at the same time. Wait, I got a question real quick, and this is kind of a on pause, but not on pause because I'm going to keep talking nonsensical, but this shit didn't turn off again, right? Like, we're still recording?
No, we're still good.
All right, just making sure.
I think.
That's all I'm making
I
sure.
didn't actually check to see if there was any sound. I mean, I see sound.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
It's all good.
But
It's all good.
The difference is we do have the live broadcast on Google Plus, so we can rip the video, we can rip the audio from that if we need to.
Yeah, so we think.
Yeah.
One more question. When you dropped out, were we not recording anymore, or?
No, I think we were definitely.
Okay. Just wondering. Just a couple of quick little questions.
I mean, here we go. I think that's one of the. What are you smoking? An e-cigarette?
No.
Yeah, he's a fucking nicotine freak. You don't know this guy?
I live in Seattle.
Look at this guy.
He's
He looks like
turned into a hipster, this guy. Like, are you serious?
turned into a hipster. I'm trying to think.
He is. He's got a cup of coffee in the background and like a little grass skirt. Or what do they call them? Sundresses?
What
Yeah.
God, what black actor smoked like some weird pipe in a movie before he started talking shit? God, what movie was that? That's who you remind me of. Like, it's on the tip of my tongue, and I'm trying to figure out who it is.
Nipsey Russell?
All right, let's play
Right.
a new fantasy football game called
Right.
Shit or Fuck My Life.
That was my Nipsey Russell impression. It's the only thing I can say in one word. Right. Remember Wildcats?
That's terrible.
Hey, it's a football movie. We can talk about it. We're allowed. It's football.
That's
Wildcats. Football.
football.
Wildcats. Alright, anyway. Game.
Good
At
shit.
this point, wait, are you going to cut like a little do like a game show, like, little music in here or no?
No, it's a little roll. Yeah, there we go.
Alright.
So, Jamal Charles, good shit or fuck my life?
I think right now, obviously, fuck my life, but I think he has the potential to be good shit.
We're talking right now, but we can do
Fuck my life.
now and for the rest of the season. So
Fuck my life right now. I think he's got potential to still bust.
Good shit.
Yeah, I think if he gets healthy, he can definitely step in and have like a couple of really good games and be right back in the top 10. Honestly, I believe that.
All right, this one is gonna hurt a little.
Wait, what does John Miller think? He didn't, what he don't?
I think he's. I think it's to be determined. Actually, I don't know.
Well, you gotta say now and then. So you're saying the same thing, right? Fuck my life and then
Yeah, I say right now, fuck my life. But
obviously.
3 weeks.
And in the future.
All right. So you're saying, you're saying so you're saying he has more of a chance of being a fuck my life consistently over the whole season.
Fuck my
though.
life now and forever.
No, I think he could be. Yeah, I don't know. I think he has.
Always and forever.
One, and you're already wishy-washy. Fuck my life or good shit at the end of the season.
Fuck my life. Let's go with it.
Fuck my life to fuck
Each
my life.
moment with
I'm gonna
you.
go fuck my life to good shit. That's
I agree.
my thing.
I agree. I think he's gonna go good shit.
Shady.
Shady? Well, obviously he's fucked my life. Actually, he's
my
really
life.
not that bad, but I mean, you know what the problem is? He's averaging 9 points. He only got 2 this week, which means that he was doing okay. He was doing better. He wasn't doing number 2 overall pick. So obviously I have him and I'm saying fuck my life, but I'm holding on to him and I'm hoping that eventually that I'm praying to God, if God, if you're up there, you fucking watch me. I'm your reality TV show. I get it, all right? But seriously, I'm only asking for this one thing. I'm not asking for my kids to go to college. I'm not asking for my wife to love me. All I'm asking for is for Shady to not be fuck my life for the whole year. That's all.
I don't think that's too much to ask. Look, all right, I'm gonna go next. You had a draw. Are you about to draw something on me, motherfucker?
Yeah, just go ahead. Go ahead. Do what you got to do. You're good. Who's the next person?
See, I have control of this, so
I'm not drawing like
you're
dicks
not
on
drawing
your
no
head.
dicks on my head.
I'm not. Just do what you got to do, kid.
All right.
Jesus, so sensitive.
I'm gonna go. Don't be drawing dicks.
Draw a little flower on his head. He'll hate the shit out of that.
So
Why? So you
I am
start smoking
going
e-cigarettes and you get all sensitive and shit. Like
Hipster, where's his sundress?
Motherfucker, it's not an e-cigarette. I would
Just
be suspended
smoking-
Joe,
Smoke-
for a few
hookah.
games in the
Joe, I just have a quick question. Does your husband smoke e-cigarettes too?
I'm not gonna try anything. Go ahead, do what you got to do, kid. I'm gonna draw shit on you.
So I'm
You're
gonna
gonna get
go Shady.
Sand in
I'm
your
gonna
vagina.
go, for Shady, I'm gonna say he is a fuck my life to an extreme good shit. He would have been the first one off the board if it was.
Alright, I'm definitely trading him now because the bottom line, he just changed him into breaking legs or something's happening to that motherfucker.
Everyone that is in the that was drafted in the odd numbers is going to be good shit.
Should I send him like a packet of Skittles in the mail? Like, would that be like rude if I did that, or is that like, could I make like somehow like Twitter history?
Dude, wait, who's sending him Skittles?
I would send LaShawn McCoy a bag of Skittles.
Why?
No,
You know-
I wouldn't.
You say that I wish you were Marshall.
No, not that I wish you were him. Just that I need you to do some shit. And if you take these Skittles,
I see.
you know what I'm saying? It's more of like a, I don't expect him to eat them because obviously he's gonna think I spit on him, and I probably will spit on him. But
At the bottom
all
of the
right.
bag, there's 20 cents for the tip. All right, so what did you say, John, for Shady?
I said fuck my life.
What is he now?
Right now he
Fuck my
is
life to
good
fuck
shit.
my life? Or
Yeah, I think he's
Wait.
fuck my
is he
life.
good shit to fuck my life, or is he fuck my life to good
He
shit?
don't know what the hell. He's doing some drawing shit. He ain't paying no attention.
I haven't drawn anything. I think he's fuck my life to fuck my life because I think
I think so too.
Really
that
bad.
offensive line's not getting any better.
All right, here's one who is sort of not getting as much heat as the JCs and the Lacey's and the McCoys of the world, but Matt Forte.
I knew you were gonna say Matt Forte. John, take this one. What do you think? What do you think?
I think he's fuck my life to good shit.
You know what the problem with me is with him? I don't have him on any team because I've told you this before, Joe. I hate him. I had him that one year where he didn't score from the 1 yard line. I think he had like 8 tries. Literally, I think he had 8 tries, 7 tries from the 1 yard line, and they stuffed him every fucking time. And I'm sorry, that stuff just stays with you forever. It just doesn't go away for me personally.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with. Man, I don't really know what to fucking think because I was trying to trade for him today. I'm gonna go fuck my life to good shit simply because he plays in a very porous defensive division, and he gets to play against very porous defensive teams. So I think maybe at the end of the year, he's going to have a much better year.
I think that team's going to pull it together, and he actually will have a bounce back year. But I think obviously at this point you're going to have to temper, basically.
I think it's not a coincidence that he had a really successful season last year, in the same time that both Brandon Marshall and Alshon Jeffries had a good season. They opened it up, and with Alshon Jeffries being hurt pretty much since the first game, I think he's not sort of pulling his weight. He used to go above and beyond when they were bad. Now that they're supposed to be good, I don't feel like he's giving as much as he used to. I don't know if it's because he's being lazy or if it's the defense or what, but it doesn't seem like he's doing those things that sort of annoyed me for when I didn't have him on my team year in and year out. John, what do you think of him with Forte?
I said it already. I think he's fuck my life to good shit. I think he'll get in the end zone and start to roll a little bit. Just because I don't think when it starts to get cold in Chicago and windy and shit, Jay Cutler's not going to be throwing the ball all over the field like he's doing right now.
That's one other thing too. I wish we brought this up earlier with the whole thing, but the different seasons of football, honestly, like the first 4 games, it's nice and warm. Everybody's like, just coming back. There's not that many injuries. You start to get hurt every week, and then it gets cold. You start hitting the ground, and like when you hit the ground later in the year, you know what I mean? It's the teams that can like kind of hold it up going forward, and that's why literally the first 3 weeks, you get an idea over the first 3-4 weeks, but by week 9, it's going to be a totally different landscape in the NFL, and I think by that point you're going to really know what's what. You know what I mean?
So, well, here's the question: What is it better to do? Is it better to get hurt now, so that at the end of the season, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm joking, but I'm also sort of at the same that series. Like, I'd rather my guys hurt and rest now than be hurt in weeks.
If you can win, obviously now while that's happening, then yeah, it's good. But if you're losing and that's happening, it don't matter how good they do later because you're already fucked. Pretty much.
That sort of thing.
Which is where I'm at right now. Like, I can't have Shady McCoy scoring 2 points. Like, it's just.
You desperately. You're 0-3 right now. You desperately.
I don't know what. If I lose, the only good thing.
Here's the good thing.
There's a couple of other people in our division that are only like 1 and whatever. So.
Exactly.
But if Curly would have pulled that out last night, I would have made the one dude instead of 3-0, 2-1. I'd have been 1-2, right in the middle. Right. Like, that was a huge swing by him not getting that last catch or anything. But,
no doubt.
You know what I mean? Like,
I'm not getting into that now.
I'm not getting into it. That was it. I think touching. I can't go into it. I'm done with it.
Yeah.
All right. How about Adrian? Well, no, sorry. Peyton Manning. That's a good one.
Peyton Manning.
I think Peyton Manning is good shit and is going to continue to be good shit. I mean, the bottom line is he was having a bad game, and he still ended up fucking me in the end and getting like 32 points. So, I mean, the bottom line is if he could score 32 points on Seattle defense or whatever, what's that?
Didn't come up. It's too bright. Yeah, he needs to go, Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to. I think he's. Well, I mean, Peyton Manning's different. Like, do you expect him to do what he did last year? No. I think he's fucked my life.
But here's my thing. So, if you don't expect him to do what he did last year, then to me that's a fuck my life because,
Well, I mean, you can't take like the best season in the world. He literally had the best season of any quarterback ever.
But my point is.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's fuck my life regardless.
You got him in the 3rd round or the 2nd round last year,
I did
in the 2nd round or 3rd round. So. The fact that you got him as late as you did, that was why he was so much more important than even if he would be putting up those same numbers as the 4 pick. Because, he's not doing like he's not doing over and above what like the average really good quarterback does on a weekly basis.
Okay, I'm going to say one thing, and I know no one wants to talk about Shady McCoy. I'm going to bring it up real quick. And this is what I said at the beginning of the year. I said my game plan was I was going to get Peyton Manning at the number 2 pick, and I hate taking a quarterback early, and then I was just going to deal with whatever running backs I can get later. Now, I know Peyton Manning's not having like Superman year and all that, but he's having a good enough year, and my quarterbacks are not. Now, I always said, Shady McCoy, you are not guaranteed points with him. You don't really know what you're going to get. You know he's going to be good, but how good is he going to be? I know that I'm going to get 25 to 45 points with Peyton every week. I'd rather take those guaranteed points, and this is something that I've come to like grips with. I never was a draft a quarterback early guy, but I've lost my first 2 picks in fantasy leagues and won them. So if I can draft Peyton Manning in the first round and then build a decent enough team around him, I never have to worry about the quarterback, and then I got bum-ass Shady losing me games anyway. Last thing I'll say.
Well, the only thing that I'll say sort of say to counteract that is that year in and year out, the guy who has the number 1 quarterback or the number 2 quarterback does not win the Super Bowl, because normally the 1 or 2 quarterback is like an Aaron Rodgers or a Tom Brady or a Drew Brees or a Peyton Manning, and then you sort of lose the value in the other positions that you sort of slip up on.
Unless you drafted Matt Ryan in the 5th round.
The number 1 running back wins way more Super Bowls than the number 1, 2, or 3 quarterbacks.
I agree with you, but it's because it's harder to find the running backs when the quarterbacks, like, I told you, I was on Matt Ryan's nuts all preseason and I still didn't get him, so yeah. I was saying, like, if that team stays healthy.
I got him in the 7th round.
Right, no, and I understand that, and I literally.
And I like the Andy Dalton pickup too. I mean, people don't like Andy Dalton, but I don't really know why. He's got a lot of wide receivers. He's got a great running game. He's got a fucking great.
Wait. Andy Dalton's awful.
No, that's not true. He's not awful.
He's awful.
Awful. He's got Giovanni Bernard, who can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's got AJ Green, who's legitimately top 5 receiver, and you're insane if you can't say that. At this point, he's got Mohamed Sanu, who's not that bad, honestly. He's really not. I mean, I wouldn't say he's horrible. That's like
waiver wire guy Marvin Jones. If nobody's taken him yet, you better snatch him up, because the boy was actually, looking way better than Mohamed Sanu ever was.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Wait, what happened? What was his injury?
Broken foot.
That's what I thought. Broken foot. When is he set to return? Do we know that?
I think he started practicing this week, so probably within the next 2 weeks.
Andy
has a bye really soon.
I need Marvin Jones to come back and not be a bum, because I hogtied myself with Andy Dalton as my quarterback and Tony Romo, which I should not be giving fantasy advice after taking those 2 quarterbacks. But, I've done these kind of... It don't matter, because it sounds borderline retarded, but when I get Bortle, that's when my whole team comes together.
Yeah, okay. Said no one ever. All right.
Okay, here's a question for you. Did you watch the Jacksonville game at all this week?
Reluctantly, I watched some of it.
I actually didn't. I can't say I did. I don't have DirecTV.
I tell you what I did watch. I watched Blake Bortles throw a couple passes against the Colts second-string secondary, and I watched the second-string secondary fall all over the Jacksonville guys that he threw the passes to. I mean, they were broken tackles that led to long touchdowns, and then everyone's getting off. Everyone's getting off. What's that?
How the balls look?
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Look. Here's why it matters.
So do you think that you think that they won't get blown out every game with Bortles in there, right? That's your point.
I want my fucking quarterback to be getting blown out every fucking game. That means that he has to throw the ball. That means he has to do the job that I fucking want him to do more than someone who's going to fucking control the ball all the goddamn time. He has a fucking arm. He has one of those arms that you see. He zips the ball in.
It's borderline criminal, is all I'm saying.
You know what's borderline retarded is people think that Blake Bortles is going to save their fantasy season. That's what's borderline retarded.
I wouldn't say he's going to save my fantasy season, but...
You said that's when your team comes together.
Dude, he was joking.
I was saying that facetiously.
I know. I'm just messing with you.
Look, I'm watching the Blake Bortles highlights right now, and
He looks good against that third string.
Dude, the ball doesn't care who's fucking playing defense.
Okay.
If the ball is getting zipped in, if the ball is on a rope, it has nothing to do with who's getting the ball. He throws a nice football.
Let me ask you a question. Was the first string D line in there in that game?
What's that?
Was the first string D line in there against Blake?
Probably not.
So, based off of that, then all of those balls should have been on a frozen rope, right? Because the Colts don't really have a good pass rush anyway, and then they put the second string in there.
But
so,
here's the thing, yeah.
All right, let's just go through the schedule. Smart guy. Let's just go through the schedule. Let's go through the schedule.
Not everybody. The difference, dude. Here's my only fucking point.
Let's go through the schedule.
Dude, relax. My point is.
I might need to pick this guy up. Can we go through the schedule?
Does Andy Dalton throw a rope?
No, he throws a jump ball, bounces off of somebody's head, and it lands in AJ Green's lap, and people think Andy Dalton's a good quarterback.
I gotta be honest with you. You saying that Andy Dalton is terrible is just not right.
Okay, he's the number 12 fantasy quarterback right now, and that's Andy Dalton.
That's pretty good considering there's 32 people in the NFL. I mean, you're saying he's awful. Awful means he's like the 25th through 32nd. Am I right?
Yeah.
He's not awful. Stop.
Okay, so all right.
The hyperbole needs to stop.
Okay, I'm glad we have this on there because when we look at the end of the year, you know why he's an awful fantasy quarterback? Because Hugh Jackson's letting Muhammad fucking Sanu throw touchdown passes. That's how much he has confidence in Andy Dalton.
Has your quarterback on your team ever caught a touchdown?
Right now?
No, and I don't want him to because you know what? Andy Dalton almost got decapitated in that game if that guy didn't miss that tackle.
Do you know
just like you don't want your quarterback catching just like you don't want. Listen. You don't want your quarterback catching touchdown passes the same way you don't want your running back returning kicks. Period. Like that's awful.
No,
let me go through the schedule real quick. Blake Bortles. Listen, real quick. Let me just run through the next.
Let him go.
Caught a ball. You know who also caught a ball?
Russell
Wilson.
Okay.
Wilson. So yeah, you don't want your fucking quarterback throwing the catching balls, but at the same time.
I can't believe we're having a Russell Wilson versus.
Before we go through this, I have to say I have a couple of weird stats here. Whenever you're done.
Wilson is only 2 behind Peyton Manning right now, by the way. And all I'm saying is.
Yeah, exactly. And Andy Dalton's like 10 behind
Dalton
him.
is on a good team. Andy Dalton's team is
and the
so
Seahawks
good.
are terrible.
Andy Dalton. It's exactly my point. The two teams that have their fucking quarterbacks catching balls are the best two in the fucking game. Is there a team better than fucking Seattle and Cincinnati? Who's better?
We're talking about fantasy here, aren't we? If you're going to put Andy Dalton in the same fantasy conversation with
Andy Dalton is 12th right now.
All right, fine. We'll revisit this conversation
Let's
later.
go. Bortles at San Diego next game, right?
Yep. Then he's home against Pittsburgh. Then he's at Tennessee. Home against Cleveland. Home against
Pittsburgh's defense ain't that good anymore. I mean, they're all right.
All right, listen. But this is Jacksonville we're talking about.
That was
Miami at Cincinnati, Dallas, and he has a bye. Then he's at Indy, home against the Giants, home against Houston, and he finishes at Baltimore and then Tennessee.
Those aren't good teams. That's not a murderer's row for the rest of the season. And all I am saying is name me 3 quarterbacks not named fucking Aaron Rodgers or Peyton Manning or even throw in a Matt Ryan that throw fucking lasers.
What was the halftime score? Do you know what anybody can pull up the halftime score for the Indy Jacksonville game? Let me look at it. Yeah, I want to know what the halftime score was.
20-0.
Is that what it was?
Maybe something like that.
Okay, it was 30-0. So that was a Matt Ryan situation.
Okay,
it was 30-0.
For you. Here's a
He
question.
had 2 interceptions in that game against the second string. Stop it. He had 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. One of the touchdowns was on a broken play. You guys are insane right now with Blake Bortles.
He's a rookie, dude.
So you're saying that out of the 2 people waiver wire pickups, you're going with Bridgewater over Bortles
Yes.
every day of the week.
Are you
Every day of the week.
Are you crazy? Are you insane?
Who plays defense in the NFC North besides the Lions? I'm waiting. Your rebuttal's a little late. It's
Hey,
no one.
I need one of these guys. So realistically, I'm contemplating. I got the angel and the devil on each shoulder, and
Who plays defense in the AFC South?
Who plays defense in the AFC South? Let's see. Who's All
Motherfucker, not
right, let me
Texas.
Is it Tennessee?
Not Texas, not Tennessee. Tennessee got fucking romped by fucking the Cowboys the other day.
I don't even know who's in the AFC South.
AFC South is the fucking Colts,
Okay, look, here we
the
go.
Tennessee, and the Houston Texans.
Okay, the Texans and the Titans.
The
Texans and the Titans.
Worked,
The Texans and the Titans play.
are not good defenses.
Are they better than any of the defenses in the NFC North? That's the question I'm asking you. Yes, just if you're wondering. Yes, they are. The Texans and Titans are better than.
Are they this year?
Yes. The Bears don't play defense. The Packers.
Raiders?
Oh God, here we go.
'Cause they
You're making my argument for me. Like Minnesota doesn't have a defense. You know the Packers don't have a defense. You know the Bears don't have a defense. And you know the Lions are only good at home.
Okay. Let's just.
You just need to.
Think about this. Let's just think about this rationally for 1 second. My question to you is, if Teddy Bridgewater played for the Jacksonville Jaguars and fucking
Bortles.
over the borderline played for the Minnesota Vikings, you would still take Jacksonville? Jacksonville has a better offense right now as we fucking speak than the Minnesota Vikings.
Can I share a stat with you guys that you probably won't even be able to believe?
What's that?
Okay. All right, my statistics were wrong. My stat guy had the wrong thing pulled up. Wait, hold on. I still have the stat, but it's different than I thought it was. All right. So
But here's my question to you: who's a better quarterback, Blake Bortles or Teddy Bridgewater?
I would go with Bortles, but that's just me.
No. This is for Johnny.
Okay.
This is for John. Who is the better?
I have my stat now. It's correct again. So
Blake Bortles is a better quarterback and a better offense.
A better what? He's a better quarterback and a better offense. That's what you're trying to tell me right now. Okay.
How many games did Blake Bortles play? A half a game, right?
Yeah.
How many games did Tom Brady play?
3.
3. Okay. Just wanted to make sure. So
Because Blake Bortles has as many points as Tom Brady.
Bortles has 26 points. Tom Brady has 45. So in a half of game, he has half the points that Tom Brady has in 3 games.
Exactly.
That's kind of ridiculous, actually.
Well, here's the good thing about Teddy Bridgewater. He has 0 interceptions. Here's the bad thing about fucking Teddy Bridgewater. He has
0 touchdowns? Teddy Bridgewater in the same amount of action as Bortles has 10 points.
Exactly. So
You guys are funny.
well, look. As someone who needs a quarterback on the waiver wire, why wouldn't I take a fucking flyer? I'll take either one of them, but if I had the higher of the 2 waiver wire picks, I would be the one going for Blake Bortles, and Teddy Bridgewater would be second on my waiver wire.
If you have him as a quarterback, right?
If I need a quarterback, yeah.
Okay, so what quarterbacks would you have to need him as a quarterback?
Wait, what are you saying?
I'm saying, when would you ever throw him in there, except for a bye week?
Him in there. I'll tell you exactly when I would throw him in there. Let's take a look. I would
Bye
throw
week.
him in week 9 because I have Matt Ryan.
Right.
I plan on playing Matt Ryan for 16 games.
Right, correct.
So that's why I would take him.
You would take him this week.
Well, here's the thing. How many fucking quarterbacks do you think you're going to get on the fucking waiver wire in week 8, in week 7? I don't mind picking up Blake Bortles for the Bills defense. I don't mind picking up Blake
There's no chance you're getting Blake Bortles this week, so you might as well just take your fucking ad drop down right now, just letting you know.
Yeah, because everybody's
And you can
everybody's going crazy.
thank Shady McCoy for that. So
And because everybody's going crazy.
In this
no, because I have Tony Romo, I have Andy Dalton on bye, Tony Romo on the Sunday night roll. I need a fucking win worse than anybody, and I'm starting Blake fucking shitball Bortles, hoping upon hope that he does something. And are you looking over there to see if it's still recording? Because you got that look on your face like we stopped recording an hour ago, and I can't deal with that right now.
No, dude, shut up. It's
We're
fine.
going to have to stop recording soon. It's like 1:14 here on the East Coast.
I wasn't even paying attention to the time, but it is.
Look, this is fun.
All right, so since we're both the Matt Ryan owners, I'm going to tell you who I'm looking at for Week 9. Okay, outside of your Blake Buns Bortles. You're not playing Blake Bortles Week 9, too, asshole. There's zero chance.
Unless he trades me for him, because I ain't dropping him. I'll hold on to him. Just
You're going to play Blake Bortles. They're at Cincinnati. Yeah, exactly. Ship it. I'll play Brian fucking Hoyer in Week 9 against Tampa.
Brian Hoyer is on someone's team.
He is.
Yeah, Brian Hoyer is actually having a.
How about
good season.
here's one for you. Here's one for you. Here's some subscriber content. How about Ryan Mallett against the Eagles in Week 9?
Ryan Mallett. Oh, fucking Tennessee Texans.
Yes.
I want to throw one more thing out there, okay? And what I want to throw out there is this. You're not getting...
Guess who Teddy Bridgewater has in Week 9?
Who?
He has the Washington Football Redskins.
They have like one of the best defenses in the league. I know they got lit up this week, but their defense is pretty good. They held Shady McCoy to fucking 20 yards.
Yeah, but who's running the ball for Minnesota? Nobody. We're talking about the
I don't think Asiato. I don't think he's as bad as people are saying. I know he had a bad game this week, but he had a pretty decent game the week before, and he catches a lot of passes.
Right. You're right. He's not as bad as what people are saying. He's worse. He's terrible.
Then what do you want Bridgewater for?
I'd even take a flyer on Eli against the Colts on Monday night over Blake Bortles at Cincinnati.
That I agree with.
Well, yeah, of course.
Just don't give me the Blake Bortles shit. That's all I'm trying to tell you.
We gotta do a buy low, sell high skit definitely, because I love buy low, sell highs.
So wait, Blake Bortles, who?
I'm just saying, we both own Matt Ryan, so I'm thinking from your perspective. I'm not rushing to pick him up and sit him on my roster.
Dude, they pretty much started the game at the same exact time. Who do you think is gonna have a better season? Teddy Bridgewater or Blake Bortles?
Who's going to have a better season?
Starting from now, because Bortles has 16 more points in our league. I'm just saying.
Well, they started at the same time. They started the game at the same time.
I got you. So he likes him so much, they started at the same time. So you gotta give up the fact that your boy's got 16 less. If he's so good, they would be tied, right? At least.
Who, Bridgewater?
Yeah, you can't look. I don't want either. Trust me. I want Matt Ryan to have a healthy, happy week. 2014.
I'd even take Derek Anderson in Week 9 because he'll probably be playing Week 9 against the Saints.
I was going to bring up Derek Anderson earlier. At the beginning of this year, did anyone knew he still played football? Because I had no fucking clue.
I did.
He was in the NFL.
I thought you put him in retirement with the 317 in
Exactly.
progress.
Yeah. 317 in progress. That's what I'm saying. Like
on a fantasy football team, but he's actually not that bad, and he's actually doing way better than he has basically since that year.
Well, if Cam Newton would stay hurt, he probably would have a career again. Honestly,
I'm gonna take a wild stab and say that Blake Bortles has a better year next year over Teddy Bridgewater.
I'll give you that maybe because
and the year after that, and the year after that.
Yeah.
And the year after that.
So you say he's going to be the
better quarterback.
So you're saying he's going to be the best Jacksonville quarterback since Mark Brunell is what you're saying? Because they've all kind of sucked, and that team's been a dumpster fire in the middle of a tornado since they were actually ever since Coughlin left, I think.
That's the thing. Dumpster fires eventually go out, and you're like, what happened? They're amazing. So,
yeah, not with this team. Nobody's even at the games.
That's why they're going to fight harder. They're going to be like, we need to put some asses in those seats. I already see it right now.
They airdrop tickets over the beaches in Florida for those games. Like it's awful.
And the seagulls fly off with them.
You ready for the bold prediction? I think that the Minnesota Vikings are going to have a top 2 or 3 pick at the end of the season.
I like it. Are we ending it on a bold prediction? What are we ending on? A boom bust? Your candidate for the week? What do we got to end it on some like good stuff here. So.
Well, since it's a waiver wire, so let's talk about your waiver pickup for the week. Well, you
So
two
who's-
guys can't.
All right, so here's a nice little thing. Let's do this.
Mm-hmm.
See, it's going to be hard though because if someone picks a quarterback and someone picks a running, I was going to say let's all pick one and see who scores the most. But it's like almost unfair because quarterbacks are going to score more than running backs most of the time.
So
Okay.
wait, who's what was the game? I don't even.
We're just going to talk about your waiver wire pick for the week. That's all.
Okay.
But see, it's not always going to be somebody can score because I'm picking up somebody who's actually on a bye.
All right, I'm going with my waiver wire pickup of the week is going to be
Blake Bortles.
keep on pushing my love over the borderline.
Fantastic.
The fact that you like him so much is scaring me. I might drop him down and pick up Teddy Bridgewater at this point.
I probably
You like him so much. I don't know if he even makes the game. Like I think he has like a horrific accident like a day before, like in a car. Like he's just driving with his mom. Next thing you know, and they don't even crash. She just drives to the hospital and drops him off. Like my son had a seizure in the car. We were listening to Madonna, Borderline.
I don't.
And,
okay,
you
here's
know-
what I'll say.
He was listening to this podcast.
I would say that my here's the problem that I have right now. My problem is that my wide receiver core is too sick. I mean, the guy who's on our sort of waiver wire right now that I definitely would take a mad flyer on, and whoever gets him is going to be really happy with him, is Alan Hearns.
He's available in your league?
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
Yeah. See, so he's not available in our league. That's why I think the roster spots you have too many. All right, so I'm gonna go into my pick.
All
right, just stop it.
He's
Just stop
out
it.
there. He's out
All
there.
right.
How is it too many? He's out there. There's still some people out there.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay. Here's yours.
All right. So my waiver pick for this week is a guy who's on a bye. It's actually John Brown is going to be my waiver pickup for the
John
week.
Brown,
I had him for John Brown. I took him off though.
And the reason John Brown's my waiver pickup for the week is because Larry Fitzgerald is all but done on that team.
garbage. I've been saying that for
He's Drew Stanton is getting him the ball. No matter who the quarterback is, he's going to be that slot guy, that flat. He's going to be the T.Y. Hilton of that offense. And he's good. He's better than T.Y. And his schedule is so damn nice. It's not even funny. Like, his schedule is stupid. You want me to go down to his schedule after the bye? Sure, why not? We have time. At Denver, Washington, Oakland, Philly, Dallas, St. Louis, Detroit, Seattle is a little muddy. Then you're at Atlanta, KC, St. Louis, and he finishes at Seattle. That schedule is pretty nice for a slot receiver, to be honest with you. He's not going to get Richard Sherman in the Seattle games. He's going to get one of those slow linebackers. Yeah, John Brown is my waiver wire pickup.
Here's something that I just sort of find funny that we're actually talking about the waiver now. Here's my question to you guys: are you pro drop your guys before the waiver or no? Or
100%. I do it all the time, and I'll tell you why. The issue I have is if I want to pick up 3 guys or 2 guys, then I got to put in like 7 claims, like this guy for this guy, and if I don't get him, then this guy. I say drop your guys, get the guys off you definitely want off. Unless you really want to keep them, then maybe you want to keep that one guy, but get them off your team, put in your pickups. That way you're definitely going to get 1, 2, or 3 guys if that's what you're going for. That's my opinion.
Here's why there is, and this is exactly why the free agency pool is always big, even though there's a 9-person bench.
Right, because we're dropping those guys early.
Dropping 1, 2, and 3 guys every week, so there's always 36 guys that are going off of a team and 36 coming back on. So that's why the Alan Hearnses of the world are still out there, because in the John Browns of the world and the Eddie Royals of the world, because people drop them when they're not really doing.
Well, what happened with Alan Hearns was he was on Zolko's team because Zolko's a freak and had him on his team or some shit. Then he dropped him the next week when he had a bad week, and no one picked him up because they thought he was a fluke. They thought the first game was what it was, you know what I mean?
That's exactly my point. So
Right.
it's like that's sort of what happened.
Did he score on a fluke touchdown from Blake Bortles? Did somebody like run into each other and then he scored? Was that what happened?
No, he fought off the defense and.
I like to say that God came down and helped him score, but that's just me. I'm a very religious person.
Right.
I go to church every Sunday. I make sure that I do my civic
Okay,
duty.
so Stephen Taylor, I do not want anymore. The Bills, I've sort of been. Miami's playing Oakland next week, so
I typically don't drop my guys ahead of time.
I don't either.
You know why? Because it tips off your hand who you're going to pick up.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
that's not always true, and I'll show you why.
Not necessarily true.
I have literally
Sometimes.
a tight end out, a defense out, a kicker out, and it's like I'm picking up those people no matter what.
Yeah,
Like,
but I know you're probably picking up a defense first and before your
No,
kicker.
he's gonna-
Probably.
actually, I don't even have in for a defense. I'm gonna randomly
gonna
pick
say,
one up and say
I
whatever.
think he's gonna pick up a tight end.
What tight ends are available in your league?
The guy that I've had and dropped 7 times, and when I had him, he scored 0. Just want to point that out that I'm the opposite of the tight end whisperer. Whatever the tight end whisperer would be, I'm the tight end murderer.
He's a tight end Pittsburgh.
It's horrible. I'm trying to pick up Dwayne Allen.
Mm-hmm.
I had him on I drafted him, didn't play him, scored great because I had Jordan Cameron.
Right.
Played him the next week, he got 0. Got angry at him, dropped him, and now I'm trying to pick him up again. So me and him have a very kind of crazy relationship going on right now.
Well,
I'm
either
sure
way,
I pick him up this week, and he literally fumbles first play, goes out with a concussion, and I get -2. That would be like the ultimate, like perfect.
Oh, I just got a quick question. Let's just look at the running backs for a second because we definitely sort of skipped them.
Right.
Which one of these guys that I'm about to name would you like on your team? Anton Smith, Roy Helu, Joe McKnight.
That's a tough one. I probably would.
Hands down.
I probably wouldn't want Joe McKnight because he's like, I mean, if what's the name comes back, Joe McKnight, how much is he really going to play or do, honestly?
Okay, well, what
It's
about
Anton.
Smith? He's the
Anton Smith for me.
You got to do Anton Smith because Ellington's bound to get hurt. I mean, Anton Smith could end up being like the actual #1 guy, I think.
Don't curse my running
I'm
back.
not cursing. I don't even know who. I'm just saying Ellington doesn't look like a very big guy. He looks like a kind of guy that if he takes the wrong hit, he's done.
Wrong team, asshole.
plays for Atlanta. Stupid.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong person.
He's the number
Yeah,
4.
he's cursing my running back right now. He's
Oh, I accidentally trolled you.
yeah.
I was looking at John Dwyer and I saw Arizona, and I don't even know why I did that.
You trolled my running back.
I
headbutt his wife and like spit on her.
You trolled my running back.
But the way my computer's lined up, and because I'm doing ad drops as we speak, because I honestly think you hosted this show on this day, so I couldn't get my pickups in, and it was a well timed try by you, but I'm still putting in guys as we speak. There's no way I'm gonna like.
Just stop trolling my running backs, okay?
I that was an accidental trolling. I'm sorry. I can't
Yeah.
even like be blamed for that.
Good,
Okay.
Keith.
Well, tell me how many transactions you have in, Keith. Right.
I have 4.
You have 4.
Yeah, I have 4. 2 quarterbacks. I have a tight end and a wide receiver. You know everyone who I have in. You named them all. I mean,
Okay.
I have 6 in.
9.
you have 9.
Yeah.
9.
See, okay, so the rosters aren't too big. I have 6 in.
9.
9.
Yeah, it's stupid. See, I have
I
6
don't-
in.
Yeah, but he's expecting not to get like 5 of them. That's why he has 9 in.
Yeah, but I expect to not only get 2 of my 6.
I have
So I
9
plan on making 4 moves this week.
I have 9 and I expect 2. Last week I got lucky and got 3, including Niall Davis from the 3 spot.
I fell asleep for the record, everybody. The only reason why I would have won if I didn't fall asleep because I would have started Niles Davis.
Fantasy football rule number 32: don't fall asleep on waiver wire night ever. Literally.
That's a pretty good rule. Pretty good rule.
Especially never go to sleep angry works with relationships as much as it does on fantasy football days. Because if you have a really bad week and you're like, fuck this stupid sport, falling asleep on Tuesday can be the difference between like, a superstar and
Shipping your
changing-
season.
changing-
I cried a little bit when I woke up. I'm not gonna lie. I shed at least 3 tears. Bottom line.
Yeah, dude, and I woke up and it felt like fucking Christmas.
Why do I kind of like Steve Johnson? Am I crazy? Like,
Well, he's playing the Eagles, so.
no, I like him. Period. I just think that I think eventually someone's got to step up there. And when did Eddie Royal remember how to play football? Is that like literally he does that 3 times a year? You just gotta pick the right weeks or some shit.
I'm afraid because I don't like any of those guys. That if I say that out loud, which I just did, I'm just sort of jinxing them into having a much better season at the end than I sort of hoped that they would. Stevie Johnson, I don't think about him for fucking 1 microsecond. And Eddie Royals, I don't think about him for 1 microsecond. They're just too much boom bust. I've seen too many good games, sandwiched between double stuffed fucking squadouches.
Yep.
Wait, I think we should do one thing, player of the week, and we're out. What do you think? Like your top player of the week, who's going to score the most fantasy points this week? Could be anything, quarterback, running back, whatever. Any player, no one's off limits.
Wow.
I think.
You have somebody in mind?
No, I just literally came up with it on the spot right now. I just thought it was a good way to end the show. Honestly, I since we really didn't have a format,
Right.
I think it's a good just boom. Your fantasy boy. Who's your fantasy stud of the week?
Damn, that's
It's a tough one, right?
yeah. You're gonna give me 2 seconds with that. That's
Yeah, I'm actually like pulling up people because I don't really know.
Mine is Jordy Nelson.
You think Jordy's the one?
Yeah.
I think Jordy and I sort of called this early, and I was talking to Elgin, who will be on the show, I'm sure, a few times, who's a very good GM, that despite his whiteness, Jordy Nelson is going to go down as probably the best Packer wide receiver to ever play the game.
I had Jordy Nelson last year, and I loved him.
He's just such a beast, and he just seems to be getting bigger and stronger and faster. He's one
He's
of
funny.
those cats that,
Because they didn't fucking test that guy for HGH.
yeah.
Well, I heard Ed Hercules like his father-in-law, so maybe that's something to do with it. He's
Yeah.
getting
Really? Is that true?
no.
Wow. Because I was gonna say that would be a fucked up Thanksgiving, like Ed sitting at the table, prayers for the friends, touching my girl's titties.
Taking the cranberry before Grace is done, 15 yards. Get out of my house. Yeah, no, he's a beast. So
I know you guys are gonna think I'm phoning this one in, but honestly, I think Calvin Johnson had such a bad game last week. I think that they just destroy the Jets. I think it's one of those things where the Jets just crush them. I mean, I think Calvin has one of those like 200-yard, 2-touchdown games against the Jets. Call me crazy. I just think that.
It's a good pick this week too.
I mean, I know he's one of the best receivers in the league, and I hate even picking him as my number one guy, but I'm just looking at who didn't do so well last week and who should bounce back.
this feels dirty, but can I do a two-person where
Go
I
ahead.
think they're both going to monsterize?
Go ahead.
I think it's going to be Matt Ryan and Julio Jones again.
Hey, if you want to jinx yourself, I love when you tempt fate. Do it again.
Hey, I'll take it.
I really didn't want to say that.
The only reason I didn't pick Julio Jones was because if he fucking had a bad week, I didn't want my house set on fire by you. So that was the main. I was gonna say Julio, kind of just to kind of troll you a little bit, but I didn't even feel like smelling the flames of
You would definitely smell lots of.
I know. That's why I didn't even name him.
Why is this not going out? Oh, he used napalm. That's how pissed he is. But I think that Atlanta is just a really, really super dangerous team indoors, and they're playing indoors against.
No, they're playing outdoors.
Minnesota's outdoors now.
Wait, what?
Yeah, they got a new stadium, I think. Right? Am I crazy? Or
Yeah, that's why I didn't pick
that's
Matt Ryan,
why
Julio
fucking-
Jones.
Well, that's why fucking Cordell's a bum.
So John, who'd you go with? Jordy Nelson. So we got Jordy Nelson, Calvin Johnson, and I don't even know who Joe said because he said like
Yeah,
14 people.
I don't even want any. I'll
Well, make your pick.
go again anyway because Julio is just is a monster also.
Here-
We're all
here's-
going with,
here's-
we're all
listen.
going with wide receivers. It's kind of funny so far.
I'm gonna go with 2 white guys just to trump this. Here's my sleeper:
Who are you trying to jinx into death? I want to know.
Travis Kelce, breakout game
Dude,
Monday night.
Breakout game? You went with a tight end? That's a bold prediction right there.
I don't like.
That's a bold prediction.
I don't like this game. I have too many of those players that we.
He's gonna be like, you guys got Gronk, we got our Gronk.
I think Travis Kelce actually comes out of this game and scores like 500 fantasy points. I think he breaks. I'm completely just that was a total troll.
You know what? That's really sort of mean and mean.
It don't matter because we know that Shady's gonna get like maybe if he gets 3 this week, I gotta look at that as a plus considering he's got 2.2, right? Like you would, is that it's all relative kind of a thing?
Yeah.
Can I just state for the record also that I think that, and this is probably reverse jinxing him into a much better season. I think Drew Brees isn't having a very good season, and I don't think the Saints are very good at all.
Who did they play? I know that they played Atlanta. That's a tough division game. I don't expect them to have a good game during that one. Who else did they play? I
Lost to
forget.
Atlanta. They lost to.
They started out the season 2 games on the road too, right?
Yeah.
They were at somewhere and lost. Who the hell did they lose to the first week?
Yeah, where the fuck is
They lost to Matt Ryan and his 448 yards.
Oh, right. That's right. Yeah.
Then I wanted to say that they lost to the.
They lost to Cleveland.
They lost to Cleveland.
In Cleveland, which is a tough place to play. They should win that game. They were actually winning that game now that I think about it, though, weren't they? And then Cleveland won at the last second on a field goal, or am I
They
crazy?
came back and then they lost.
And then New Orleans won or lost? Are they 0-3?
No, they're 1-2.
No.
They,
Right, and then they
beat
beat
Minnesota.
they beat Minnesota bad, actually, didn't they?
No, not really. It was 20-9.
Yeah, but 20-9, like they can't even score a touchdown. That's to me beating you bad.
What you want?
If you don't score a touchdown and you get 9 points, if you score under double digits, you got beat bad. That's my opinion. I don't know. I could be wrong about
you know
that.
what? I don't disagree, especially in this league now.
Unless it's like 10-9.
Yeah, 10-9, then it wouldn't really be beat bad. But 20-9, basically, you're saying that you just couldn't even I don't even know. That's like basically like kicking a field goal at the end of the game just so you don't get a shutout, which is retarded. They're like, oh, we didn't get shut out. Who gives a fuck?
They're awful.
Yeah, dude.
I'm happy. I'm happy with the first show. I think it went well.
5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions for Drew Brees against not all that amazing defenses.
Yeah, Atlanta's defense is pretty good.
Pretty good. Atlanta's defense is not pretty
Cleveland's
good.
pretty good too, actually, though.
Joe Hayden is pretty good. Cleveland's pretty good of a defense. Minnesota is not. And
I agree.
Is not. Atlanta's not a good defense, man.
All right. Good show.
Good.
I'm happy.
show.
I'm happy with how it went. You gonna know how to set up these settings like next time properly and all that stuff?
I doubt
Yeah.
it, honestly.
What?
But
You just did it.
I'm going to
know,
get out. I'll get it with you guys later.
All right.
Yeah.
Later.
We're closing up the show. All right. All right.
What's that?
I said we're closing up the show. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't be stumbling out like a hobo. Come on, like
Well, this guy, it's only like 10 o'clock out there. Like,
that is kind of funny. Like that's fucked up. I wish it was only 10 o'clock right now.
yeah, like fuck him. He needs to close the show by like midnight. Or
All right. In closing, I'd like to say this: Julio Jones and Matt Ryan go off this week.
Thanks, Keith.
What?
Appreciate it. Not only did he troll my quarterback, he trolled my running
Wait,
back.
one last question. When do you guys plan on having the next show? Because Thursday's not really that great for me, if that's what you're thinking.
Thursday's not good.
Well, I play poker on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and so far you took Tuesday away, so
Well,
you know what I mean?
here's what I was thinking. I thought that doing the next podcast during the game, because when we did the first podcast that we did, I think it worked really well doing it while the game was on because we got the entire recap and we sort of we did the recap, and as we were finishing recapping all the games, the other game was done, so we got to wrap those all up, and we didn't have to like have another game in another show just to tie it up. I'll do tomorrow. It's not a big deal, but I think Thursday is probably the better day.
All right, we'll reconvene and we'll figure it out tomorrow what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
We'll figure out what works
Plus,
best. Obviously, Sunday,
till, like,
Tuesday.
7:30.
I think Sunday, Tuesday is like locked in though, right? At this point, Sunday,
Yeah,
Tuesday.
definitely Sunday, Tuesday are the two most important. But we definitely need to look towards next week's games.
You know what though? Here's the problem with Sunday, Tuesday, and I just want to throw this out there. We're doing a wrap up. We're doing a waiver wire show, and these people have to have their waiver wire picks in by now. So you're not even gonna have the show up till Wednesday. Realistically, you know what I'm trying to say?
Right. So you're saying we should be doing a Monday night.
I think Sunday, Monday, or you know what I mean? Maybe even cutting out the Sunday show altogether and just doing a Monday night show.
What if we did a Monday, Thursday, and we did it during the games? So
that would work out.
Monday night game, and we do it during the Thursday night games.
I like that. I like that. We could even do a Sunday, Monday, Thursday, like every time a game was on, kind of a thing. You know, I don't know. We could definitely figure it out. But I mean, we got it. Having it on a Tuesday kind of really didn't make sense now that we thought about it, because
it would need to be
my things are about to go through literally in 30 minutes. You know what I mean? So unless you post this and everybody listens to it, which they're not, because we have no followers yet. But I want to say one more thing. You will follow us because you have no better people to follow. So,
dude, trust me. Look, if you like fantasy football, and here's the thing about what we're doing here. If you like fantasy football, what we're telling you is going to be very important to you. If you don't like fantasy football, you don't know anything about us, and you're not going to be watching us anyway. So if you like fantasy football, you need to fucking watch this show.
We're beyond fantasy football. When you listen to Banana Split the Uprights, which is one of my key, bits that I do, you guys are going to realize why you're here. That's all I'm saying.
And you will instantly realize that the reason is not fucking Banana Split the Uprights. That's stupid, and I sort of...
Oh, I want to plug a couple of our... If anyone's still listening, I want to plug a couple of our ideas that we definitely are going to have coming up. We're going to have our girls, the average Janes versus the pros of CBS and whatnot. So we're basically going to give like our girls a list of 10 to 12 quarterbacks or whatever, and we're going to verse them versus like the 3 or 5 that the pros pick, and we're going to see who scores the most points. Our women who know absolutely nothing about football, or these pros who get paid a ton of money to give you terrible advice.
Yeah, it's actually going to be really fun to try and do that because we don't think that they are very good at this.
Hey, it's more of an experiment. If the pros win, that's fine. I expect them to. But if the girls even give them a run for their money, I think it's
listening to them.
What exactly?
Here's an important thing too. Like what I would like from the fans, if you aren't great at fantasy football, shoot us an email at
Tweet us. Don't we have a Twitter?
We've got it. Average Joe FFB at gmail.com, and our Twitter handle is at Average Joe FFB. Full average, full Joe FFB.
Shoot us some questions. We'd love to answer them. And
shoot us some questions. Shoot us some comments. We'd love to hear from you guys. We love fantasy football. Look, the fact is, my girlfriend hates me right now. She is so upset that I'm doing this. But
my wife is actually filing divorce papers upstairs right now as we speak.
Literally, basically, I save up 10 months worth of anytime minutes, or whatever those minutes are called.
Do they still have them? What the hell?
Not the anytime minutes. What are those things called? The rollover minutes. Every fucking minute of my rollover minutes gets destroyed basically from July till December, because that's all I do. I don't talk to people during the week.
And most of his teams are so bad that he just rolls over in the fantasy leagues also, just to let you know.
But he's saying that, and the fact of the matter is he's 0-3 with one of the worst teams I've ever seen. And I'm
That's
1-2.
absolutely not true.
And
That's
I'm
absolutely not
1-2,
true.
And I'm 1-2 with like a 35-point lead after 3 games. So that's sort of how we roll.
3 weeks does not a season make. I just want to throw that out there.
Thanks for listening. On behalf of John Miller,
Later, Johnny.
FFB,
Later.
Give him a roundhouse, Johnny.
J Mills, FFB Pro on Twitter. We got Keith, FFB Pro on Twitter, and I am Jono, FFB Pro on Twitter.
One last thing. It's always better to be pro. You know what I'm saying?
Wait.
That's it.
Tell me if you
Later on, guys. Have fun.
wait.
Later.
Can you hear this?
That's funny.
Peace.